It's just time.
They're under overlays.
I can't pick up.
Our cameras are not on. Oh,
Let's go.
Here we go. All right, guys, we are here. Oh, I got to turn this down. Boy. I just wanted to make sure that we was on the Twitch right there. So, all right, guys. Hey, welcome to this Thursday's Livewell here at Fish North Georgia. We appreciate you guys taking your time to join us tonight to talk some good fishing. And again, if you watch at a later date on YouTube like that, hey, we appreciate you too. We're going to take care of the business right here. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell and all that. If you are watching us on Twitch, which we have added now, it's Twitch TV at Fish North Georgia, no spaces right there. We appreciate you as well. And again, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. The Twitter is Fish North GA, not Georgia spelled out like everything else. But you got all these options to keep up with us, guys, and we hope you will take advantage of that so that we can keep up with you and all that. So we definitely appreciate that, and we want to thank, of course, one of our fine sponsors for segment one right here, Rachel Collins with 400homes.com. Listen, I don't know a lot about the real estate business, but just from watching the news, I know it's very topsy-turvy right now. A lot of things going on with interest rates and stuff like that. Hey, listen, you want a qualified agent to be in your corner if you're going to jump in the real estate market. And Rachel, she is the agent for you. She's very professional. She's very honest. What are you laughing at? Oh, look at that. Dreaming of lakeside living. I like that right there. So, listen, Rachel, and she's one of us. She likes to fish and all that. So give her a call, 770-310-0599, or you can email her at rachel@400homes.com. And, of course, right behind me is Miss Rachel.
Didn't her husband just win a tournament or something? I saw that on Facebook.
He placed. If he didn't win, he placed pretty good.
Man,
he did really good. So, Again, Rachel, hey, we love the Collins family. Thank you for supporting the Livewell here and all that. So, I missed you guys last week. Ryan, you held the show down very well. You guys did a fine job talking about the ABA. And so I appreciate you doing that. Oh, and one more thing, too. If you're listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, or any of our podcast platforms, this is a live show. And just want to let you know that, because as we go through the show tonight, there will be comments coming up, and you will hear us address the comments like that. So just kind of keep that in mind, so that way you can help with the flow of the show. You kind of understand when we start naming out some of the local anglers and friends that we have around here in North Georgia. But we appreciate you guys as well. You can find that Fish North Georgia on any of the major podcast platforms, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and I don't know any of the other ones. I'm sure there's a lot of them, right, Nathan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because 3 years ago, I didn't even know what a podcast was. So I've come a long way. So
Montuna.
What's that?
Montuna.
But anyway, all you guys right there that was in the comments, hey, listen, that were in the comments on the screen right there, hey, we appreciate you guys joining us. And if we miss you, we got to get going. It's been a long Thursday for everybody. But listen, we're glad that you guys are taking the time to join us tonight. We got a great show for you. Let me introduce my star-studded panel around here today. So, of course, our guest of honor tonight, our main guest, Mr. Jeff Nail. I appreciate you joining us.
The one, the only.
The one, the only. Guys, I want to highly recommend you go back either on the podcast platforms or go back to YouTube and watch the one-on-one that Jeff and I did. Well, it was probably about 3 months ago, something like that.
It may have been close. I think March, April,
something like that. So I had a really great time talking to Jeff that day, and I highly encourage, if you haven't listened to it, or even if you have, go back and listen to it again. Great conversation like that. So I got my man Ryan, my right-hand man right here.
Present.
My 6'7" younger brother from another mother, kind of like that.
We're here.
Get used to it.
I just lost all hydraulics in my seat.
That's, you know why? You want to know why? Because I switched it. I'm like, I'm the star of the show. And I'm the shortest guy here. Why do I have the lowest seat? Like that. Man. So, anyway, Paul is running the board. Thank you, Mr. Paul Coonan.
Thank you, Paul.
For all you do back there. And, of course, I got Nathan Skinner.
What's up, everyone?
Here. And, hey, Bronson Cox is over there. And
my partner.
What's up,
his
Bronson?
Partner's over there. So, glad to see you, Bronson, and all that. So, a lot of great guys around tonight. And listen, so, we're getting into the fall season here in North Georgia, but, it's still summertime. We're going through we got a little bit of cool weather right now, but it's getting ready to get hot again and all that. So we're going to lean on Jeff's expertise a little bit to kind of help guys navigate a little bit through the upcoming season. But even, we were talking before the show, even you said it's been tough lately.
It has.
It has, just for everybody.
I mean, you can stumble onto a really good bag of fish one day and then go out, and then the next day it's like, what in the world? Where'd they go?
Yeah,
I heard someone say
and they're still there. They're in a it's that late summer funk that they're in right now.
I heard someone say that like September is the junk fishing month. Like you just throw the kitchen sink at them and you run and gun all over the place until you catch something.
Hey, you can do that, or you can if you have a couple places where there's big schools, you can just go sit on them and wait them out, and it's
that's right.
You can be successful doing either one.
Want to take just a second and say hello to some of the guys buying Hendrix Fishing, listening on my way to Florida for a derby. Hey, appreciate that. And listen, guys, one of the things I want to tell you, we're only on YouTube and Twitch, and we're going to stay on that platform from now on. So I know that we had some Facebook guys that were watching, but hey, listen, it's 2022. You got to figure out how to work that YouTube and all that stuff right there. So just kind of make it easy on us. But Byron, good luck in your derby. Kim Burt, Dylan, hey, studying for geometry tests for tomorrow while listening. That is not. I'm glad you're here, kid, but that probably isn't the smartest thing for your grades.
You ain't gonna learn no geometry, brother.
Yeah, that's right. Doug Phillips, Zach Archer, all the guys from North Georgia.
I bet Jeff can teach him.
That's right. Jeff can. He can teach them mountaineering or whatever. What is that called? What did you say? What is all that?
Intersections, resections.
What is it? The map.
Orientation.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of geometry in that.
There is. Derek White, how you doing, buddy? So listen, one of the great things about doing this every Thursday night is we get to see you guys that's from our local community, and just it really makes us feel good that you guys are taking the time to join us. So we're going to jump right in, and let's just go from like I said. So it's second week of September. This week we're kind of a little bit cooler weather than what we've been having. The false fall.
Yeah.
Everybody. And what's really funny about the false fall is everybody gets excited. Okay, there's a little chill in the air.
Pumpkin spice, everything.
Yeah, we're all guilty of it. But then the devil's breath is going to return next week.
Going to be back up in the 90s here and all that. So, one of the things I want to talk to you about. You're guiding. You're guiding now on Lake Lanier.
I am. I started.
You started your guiding.
I announced it. What's today? I think I announced it on the 13th.
On the 13th,
yeah,
today's the 15th.
Ago.
So you're back to guiding. Congratulations. But as a guide, it's got this kind of weather has got to really be tough on you because the fish. We've been talking here before the show. The fishing it's still tough. The fish have been hitting stuff. I mean, they've been had. I don't know. There's no telling how many things the bass have seen over the last 4 months. Everybody's on the wall.
Pounded.
Yeah, they have absolutely been pounded. And from a guide's perspective, let's get that first before we get talking to some techniques and stuff. From a guide's perspective, how do you approach that knowing, hey, I got somebody that's going to pay me some money to take them fishing, and I know it's tough?
I think right now,
yeah,
the first thing I'm going to do is try to figure out, what is their physical capabilities. And I don't mean that in a negative way.
You're talking about the angler.
The angler that's with me. Because if they're physically able to stand up and sit down 75 times or more depending on how long we're out for, then we're probably going to go hit a whole bunch of holes, hit them fast, and then go to the next one. If the individual, if that's just not on the cards, then I'm going to pick an area where I know I've got 5 or 6 big schools of fish, and we're probably, I'll just idle from one spot to the next, and then we'll just make laps and basically wait out those fish, or we'll go, switch it completely up and then go fish, shallow.
Try some high percentage areas. Yeah. That's kind of interesting you said that because in all the time that we've been doing this podcast and we've had guides and all that, I've never heard anybody say, I look at who's with me in the boat and what their physical capabilities are.
Yeah, you can't go the same way with everybody. I mean,
it's interesting.
I had an individual with me one time, and I guess it was about halfway through the day. The guy's like, damn, dude, he goes, I can't keep up with you. And I was like, all right. And so, I mean, a light bulb went off. It's like, I can't fish the same way with everybody I have. Like, I have to try to figure out and, look at the person I'm with, what they're capable of, and then try to figure out something what I think the fish are doing. And
does a
figure out where to intersect.
Does a guest's fishing knowledge and like fishing experience come into play there too? Not just physical?
No, it can. I mean, if they can't cast very far, then we're probably going to go find something that, we may not have the opportunity for the numbers or maybe even the size, but we have the opportunity to try to get them on some fish because it doesn't matter. If you can't cast very far, you're probably not going to do phenomenal out on open water trying to catch schooling fish.
Honestly,
I mean, it's just, it is what it is.
That,
that's
I
just all
find
there is
that
to it.
very interesting because I've asked people tons of questions and all that, but I've never had somebody say, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the person and see what his capabilities are.
Yeah,
And that's smart to me.
right. And it's not something that was intuitive to me when I first started doing this. It's just
Something you
something.
learned.
It's something I picked up. I'm like, I cannot treat everybody the same when it comes to the way we're going to go fish a particular day. Like I've got to look at what they're able to do. I mean, are they going to be able to do technique A and B? If not, then we've got to go find something else.
When somebody calls you up and say, you know, Mr. Nail, I want to go fishing with you. Do you ask them in the interview part right there, like, hey, you know, what are you wanting? What do you know? Do you kind of find out a little bit intel
I'll try
there?
to get a little bit of information. I may not on the initial deal unless they're like, hey, you know, I want to learn technique X. When's a good time of the year? Well, if you want to learn ditch, then we probably need to go in like late November, December into early January is when that's, you know, before they get beat to death in the ditches, which
absolutely,
you know, that happens. So
speaking of which, Ryan is starting to pour the True Grit ditch diggers. We've been selling a lot of them. It's
Get you
getting ready to be there.
some.
He is working his butt off with those ditch diggers. So if you like that, if you like that, a 3.3 and a 3.8 Kitech, and you want to really slam some fish, Ryan turned me on to that last year. That was really good. So Joseph Castleberry wants to know if it was you.
No, wasn't him.
It wasn't,
No, it wasn't him.
That's funny. So, but okay, so you get the person. Let me ask you this question: what is it about guiding, other than of course making a living doing it? But what is it about guiding that attracts you?
I've always been a natural teacher, I guess you could say, and like it just, I mean, that's essentially what I did for really over half of my military career. So. I don't know. I enjoy seeing other people succeed. I understand the struggles of trying to figure something out completely on your own. And yet, while it is rewarding, it's also extremely frustrating. And then for me, it's also it's a good psychological fit for me right now with everything that I have going on. It's an overall good fit. Like, it checks an awful lot of boxes, and it's a good fit for what I do right now.
For me, like, I think I would like to think I'm an above average angler, like just as far as like experience over my life and whatnot. And like, to me, like guides are a great resource, booking a guided trip a few times a year just to learn stuff. Like there's stuff I love to fish, obviously. But like I went out with LJ, you know, last month, and he taught me, like, I want to learn the spy bait because Paul and I have been talking about how the spy bait would be great on Latham. And so I was like, LJ, I need you to teach me everything you know about the spy bait. Yeah. And he did. And I think that's a great resource if you think you're a good angler, but you want to learn some more stuff or learn a specific technique. Find a guide in the area that does that really well. And I think Jeff here fishes a few different techniques super well. And like, if you want to learn how to fish a Seville super well, talk to Jeff, book a trip with him. That's something I'm going to do because I just bought a couple. I want to learn to fish it because I know it's a great bait in Lanier, and I think there's no other better person to learn from for that.
That's a good point because I think lots of times people don't investigate the guides a little bit, and a quality guides make good money. They put in the time. It's your money. Do your homework a little bit because there are a lot of guides we hear at the store. A lot of people come in and they talk about some of the guide trips they've been on. And sometimes some of the anglers are, even as they're guiding, a little more about themselves, than they are taking the time to teach the anglers, teach the customer a little bit. So two things with that. One, I want to, a couple of, do you like that? Couple of comment sections. Chance Smith, going to be using the ditch digger next month in Florida at the Bienville Outdoors. So there you go. Hey, Chance, appreciate you joining us tonight. Jeremiah Giles is in the building. Love watching FNG while rigging up before my trips. Jeremiah, we love you. Actually, I do. You're one of the better viewers that also has some great advice and stuff like that because you really research that.
He can catch him.
He can catch him.
You see that snooky caught?
Yeah, I saw that. I know. I don't know how Jeremiah does it. Like, first of all, he's in a different part of the country every other day, so I don't know what the hell he does for a living. But he does catch fish wherever he goes.
Well, there's some people that I swear they have gills.
Yeah, I think Jeremiah does. He's just not letting.
Are you saying he's from Waterworld? Are you saying he should be in that Jeff Costner movie?
I don't know.
I mean, there's some people I think that they have gills.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. What did he say?
Jeff Costner.
Jeff Costner.
I don't know who that actor is.
Kevin Costner.
I want to do two things though before we get further. First of all, number one, anytime somebody that comes in my presence, and I don't care if it's a customer on the show, at a store that served in our military, I'm always going to take the time. Thank you.
Thanks
for that because that is an honor
Absolutely.
to have somebody like you in my presence that gave your time, to do that.
Ranger,
I'm trying not to cry.
Ranger danger.
Ranger, I get teared up, but seriously, guys like you, I look up to.
Well,
I do.
Thank you.
It's just,
yeah,
I know
it's still,
you're like, oh, it ain't nothing I did with it. But to somebody like me that did not serve, that's big
How many
time.
tours you do?
4, I think.
Wow.
I don't know. I gotta go
Four
back.
more than me.
I gotta
Four
go
more
back
than
and
me.
do some.
Four more than me.
Thinking about it.
I'm really like trying not to
I
tear
don't
up.
know.
Guys like you though, I'm gonna cry. I'm not. It's been a long day. It's been long, but no, seriously though, thank you very much for that. And also, while we have the opportunity, and we're talking about you guiding, I want you to go ahead and give out, how somebody that's watching tonight or listening at a later date can get in touch with you.
The easiest way to reach me would probably just to call. My phone number is 770-715-9933. You could also just find me on Facebook for Jeff Nell Fishing and Guide Service.
He does that, and he posts you post a lot of good pictures, a lot of truthful pictures. You're very straight up. This is if it's a tough day, you tell everybody it's a tough day.
There's some days that are better than others, but
so
it is what it is.
It is, but you're very, and you also you'll share them to the group page, Fishing Tours group page, and all that. So I was kind of scrolling through it today. Been out of town for a while now. I was scrolling back and I'm like, there's Jeff. I can keep up with you very easily. So guys, I highly recommend. What are we doing?
9933.
Are you giving the number again like that? So Bruce and Tammy Arnold. Hey Jeff, once the sun tops. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna try to read now. Jeff, once the sun tops and your Seville bite dies, what are your other go-tos? Flukes on docks or just deep brush piles?
No, you can catch them on a Seville with the sun high in the sky.
All day.
Oh yeah, all day, every
So
day.
Especially
what do you
if-
do, just switch colors?
Don't
Yeah,
stop
I'll switch
throwing
colors
it.
around.
Okay.
I've got about 3 or 4 colors. That's it.
Stop
Okay, so
I don't get
throwing
anything
it
crazy
if
with
they're
it.
biting it.
So let's do this.
in the
Sunny.
morning. Don't quit throwing it.
Chrome, generally chrome if it's sunny, although I will throw a
think you need to
herring
write that
painted one
song.
also.
So herring and chrome. All right. Partly. Does it matter if it gets like
Remix.
partly cloudy? Not real cloudy, just partly cloudy. You still sticking with this?
No, I mean you'll still catch one chrome or a herring painted one, something that you have. And I've got another one. I forget what it is. It's kind of got like a gold back and it's reflective on the side. Oh,
Okay.
I'll catch them on that one.
And then
too.
the straight clouds.
I'll probably throw a white if it's straight
White,
clouds.
straight cloud. And for those that are listening that are not familiar with the North Georgia area, we're talking about Lake Lanier, one of the bigger lakes, around this area, but it is considered a high water reservoir, clear high water or
Highland.
Highland Reservoir. I try.
That's what we're here.
Highland Reservoir.
Don't you
It's a
watch
Highland
Tactical
Blueback
Bassin'?
Reservoir.
Yeah, I do. And I still haven't figured out why that guy don't put shoes on in the wintertime, but that's just me.
Because he's from California.
He's from California. But again, basically you stick 3 or 4 patterns and just let the sun kind of dictate.
Yeah, I mean,
Kinda like
I've got
that.
some that are more translucent and clear that I'll go
But
to also.
but do you stick to it? Like I'm going to go out and I'm going to Seville fish today until they just
No.
tell you they're not going to hit.
Mm-mm.
No, I mean, I like right now, when I'm fishing for the quote unquote topwater fish right now, I'll have a walking bait, a chugging bait, or a combination of the two, like a gunfish, a Seville, and a fluke. And that's really what I'm going to rotate through and for the fish in the top of the water until they tell me what they want on that particular day.
Right.
So I have a question then. So you said chugging bait. I'm assuming you mean the chug bug.
Like a
Which
chug bug.
I don't fish the chug bug a lot. I fish a popper a lot. What's the difference between like a chug bug and a popper?
It's basically, I mean, it does the
Same
same
thing.
thing. Poppers are just generally a little bit shorter. A chug bug's got a longer profile, which matches. There's a picture. I think I posted it earlier this week of my chug bug laying right next to a herring that was spit up, and they're like carbon copies of each other. It's floating around there somewhere.
There was a question, Paul. Can you scroll back up that I know I missed? It was before the question asked, but I'm going to ask Brian's while he's looking. Brian wants to know, do you guide on the weekends, even with all the boat traffic and stuff like that? Are you primarily?
Yeah, I
Monday?
know. I'll go on the weekends, but it generally, until we get in the middle of the winter, it's going to be a half. I'm not going to go.
Oh,
out.
it sucks.
It's going to be a half a day.
Okay.
We're going to
I
do
got what you're
4 to
saying.
5 hours,
Hour.
and we're done ski.
Mike
So-
Bennett.
Mike Bennett right there. Let's get Mike's question up right there. So Mike wants to know, what's up? Any info on the night bite would be great right now. So you probably don't fish a lot at night, but if you were, how would you approach it?
Yeah, if I was fishing night right now, I'd probably look for lit docks,
Okay.
and then
Can't go
fish.
wrong.
Working the lights.
Yeah, fish around the lights, and then the dark crankbaits on rock and jigs on rock, and
That big old
I'm
spinner bait.
especially with a big spinner bait with a big blade on it.
Yep, big old Colorado blade spinner bait.
That was Ryan introduced me to that this year. That's fun.
Yeah, I mean, by the time I don't really just get out at night. I wish I did get out more at night, but just with the way things
Would you
are.
consider doing a guide trip at night?
Evenings,
What?
yes.
Evenings,
yeah.
yes.
So like next summer, or once we get back into the, the spring comes around and stuff, then yes. So like a half day trip, if you wanted to do a half or a 6 hour trip and start at like 6 and go to 10, then yes, that's
Okay,
that's definitely
that's
in the
good for
cards.
people to know like
Cool.
that.
Yeah.
So,
So if you want that evening sunset and
There's
then
Joe.
an hour or two afterwards.
there's who?
There's Joe
Who's Joe?
right there on Janet now. That's Joe.
Oh, okay, Jay. Oh,
Going to bed.
hi,
Oh,
yeah.
that's adorable.
Oh,
Hi, Daddy.
Good night, buddy.
Go, yeah, there you go, buddy. So that's awesome. That is awesome right there. Let me ask you that. How does that make you feel?
That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Does it not? I got a daughter that pops up every
Yeah,
once in a while,
that's-
and I play it off. But
that's-
as a
that's
dad,
pretty
I'm
awesome.
like, yeah, my daughter's watching.
Oh, she came on when we had Emil on.
Yeah, well, that's only because she
He's a
thought.
hoot.
That's only because she thought of Mills what 24 and had the possibility of being. He's kind of cute with that
Why is
funky hair that he's got.
Why does everybody want to go fishing with me?
With who?
Everybody wants
So,
to go fishing with me.
So if you want to go fishing with Ryan, we can set that up. Like that. So
I always wants to go fishing with me. People don't believe that I do what I do. Jeff knows.
That's because you bring the
yeah,
juice.
y'all two fish together a little bit. And you talk every single day, which kind of leads to me. Like,
Mostly.
okay, so like one way being at the store, and I listen to all the phone calls that Ryan gets. I do. I mean, not that I'm checking on because he's not working, but I'm listening. I'm seriously, I promise.
My bad.
No, but I'm listening to who he. No, sir, I listen to who he's talking to, and so I know that of a lot. There's a lot of people in that circle, and there's a handful though that I know that when the phone rings, he's taking the call. We're not blowing him off. And if LJ, if you're watching, I promise I didn't blow you off a couple times today, which I did, but I still love you. But when Jeff calls, you take that call.
Well, there's Jeff will say this. There's like a little circle of us
Right?
that we all bang ideas off of each other and shoot information towards and stuff like that, and just
Yeah, there's no
help each other
There's
out.
no substitute for a solid network right now,
Yeah,
No,
I
absolutely.
mean,
especially this time of year. There's no
But I do. I
substitute for
pay attention. And I'm like, okay, who was that? And he'll tell me. I'm like, okay, I know the ones, but I also know the way Ryan answers the phone, whether he's kind of like intent on that conversation. You know what I'm saying? I can kind of read him from a distance, and like I can tell that's somebody he wants to listen to, and I respect his opinion. And I know when you call, he takes that call very serious. Or when y'all talk in the evenings and stuff like that. So I don't know what kind of bromance you got going on, but I mean, it's kind of serious.
And having a circle of friends that you trust with their fishing advice is great. It's great for the fishing advice. It's also great from a safety advice too. I think I was talking to Dylan when he got his boat for the first time. I was like, get as many people's phone numbers as you're comfortable asking for in case you run into trouble on the lake. Because if you run into trouble on the lake, you want to know that there's people out there that are probably on the lake too. So I was like, get the numbers of some people. You need to have them.
No, I've had to call. I've had to dial a friend before.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you should. That's a good
I've
thing.
had to do it.
Here's a good one.
Couple
I
times.
think I know where this is relating to, but Zach Archer wants to know if your trim breaks, how many people would you bring to pick up a Mercury motor?
Are we talking about a normal sized person, or are we talking about someone who weighs over 250?
Well, that was funny. So I guess that's going back to to the Beasley.
Jeff.
Oh, jeez.
Jeff, pick the motor up.
So for those of that's kind of an inside joke, but at the Beasley benefit tournament that we had, you broke your trim that afternoon.
Oh, I didn't.
The
I
trim
didn't-
relay switch went out.
I had a relay switch.
Is that what it was?
the
Okay.
trim relay
So,
switch
like
went out.
I'm looking for Ryan the entire time while we're doing, giving away the prizes and everything. I don't see Ryan, and when I finally see him, he is like got his shirt off. He's in the water trying to get that thing up there. But again, that's what friends do.
That's what friends are for.
My main thing with that day was me and Jeff were sitting there trying to figure everything out on how to get that motor up. And Brett's standing on the back of the boat because I know he's watching. Like, why don't you try this? I'm like, why don't you get in the water and help?
Did Brett get in the water at all that day?
No, but Ryan and I got a great fish pedicure.
We did. The brim cometh that
Brett
day.
cometh that day. So I can see Brett.
When are we
Well,
putting that
listen,
on a shirt?
Brett's in like management and stuff like that. So I'm sure. Look at all these. I'm sure that Brett was sitting there supervising the entire
Yes.
thing and all that. So
Yes.
He's good at that.
but he's a good dude.
No, he is.
I
He's great.
fished with him.
I talk with Brett all the time.
I fished with him a couple times in the Hammond's digital tournament, and he gets excited too. I mean,
he does.
No, he gets excited.
Iconelli excited? Like
No, like I'm talking really excited. Like
Iconelli excited? Like that's excited.
no, he ain't quite that bad. He's not as vocal.
He hasn't
but-
started breaking stuff yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he does. I think
He ain't
inside
screaming.
he's got a little Iconelli in him a little bit. But yeah, so I had a good time. Dylan wants to know. Let's see, where was that question at? Right there, Jeff. When do you think the top water bite will be in full swing? And we're talking Lake Lanier, but it's probably would be for any North Georgia lake.
So for the offshore top water bite, I would say I am looking for it when the afternoon water temps are in the upper 70s.
Okay,
that's full swing.
Yeah.
All right, and so when you go out on top water,
Not the morning water temp, the afternoon.
Afternoon,
4
okay.
o'clock in the afternoon when it's like 77 degrees.
We can't be having this
It's
rise back up thing again
Yeah.
to happen. It can't keep rising back up into the mid 80s again.
which is probably, you said earlier before the show, that's probably going to happen next week.
Oh, it's definitely gonna happen
You
next
know,
week.
with-
Oh, it's going to be back in the. I would say it'll be
upper 80s
no-
again, surface temp.
no clouds and the highs in the 90s and lows
Oh my goodness.
barely breaking
Listen.
70. Yeah, we're going to be back in 85.
Read,
plus
read Brett's
range.
comment right there.
Yeah,
I have
85.
a bad back, and I am a good project manager. I get however you want to say it.
I was like, you want to compare back X-rays?
Yeah, right.
Oh,
And y'all are buddies like that, so that's pretty funny. Hey, so listen, let me ask you this. So let's just say that situation was happening right now. Water temps and that. When you go out and you're specifically targeting an afternoon, top water bite, what's the first thing that you throw? What are you targeting first? 'Cause I know what Ryan's. Well, if he's out in deeper water, you like throwing chug bug, right? That's you.
I throw
like
I throw a array of
you
things.
like the chug
of
bug.
array.
Yeah.
Is that like
like
an
the
array
chug
and a
bug.
variety?
I like to chug bug most of the time right now. Beforehand, I didn't always throw it, but the past couple years, they've got on this swing of eating such smaller bait, and the chug bug
So you're talking the
profile
small
wise,
chug bug?
yeah,
No, the medium one.
the one that's like that big.
Okay.
That's about the size of the bait.
Because I like the spook
Honestly,
junior.
I got a no. This shh.
Oh, sorry.
Did he about drop some juice?
Sorry, Gene Jensen just posted a video on that yesterday.
Slow
Come
you-
on.
Jeez.
The whole country knows already.
I didn't even hear it. So that typical Danny, I missed the comment. When Beasley's dad came up here the other day, that was always he likes to joke about when Beasley was right there. Him and Paul would share every time I missed one of those little snipes that Beasley would get at me because I'm totally oblivious to what all was going on. And Paul and Beasley's got their own freaking conversation going on over there about how dumb Danny is. Because seriously, I mean, it's pretty much. Am I right?
Not
Am I
dumb,
right?
oblivious. Oblivious.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm old. I don't hear as well as I used to be. But like, okay, so you go out there, and what was your answer? Like when you first start?
I would say I'm probably going to, I'll have two. I will have a chug bug and I'll probably have a 95 series gunfish.
What's a gunfish? Am I just dumb?
Like a pencil popper.
You don't know what a gunfish is?
I do not.
Yeah. Well,
Like
yeah,
what?
but it's,
Like a
it doesn't
shower
have
blow.
the,
Like shower
it doesn't
blows?
have the
Oh.
fat,
It doesn't
the
have
fat
the
back
fat
to it.
back.
Matter of fact, well,
That's
no,
kind
I
of
don't.
before there was the shower blows. It's the
I got a picture of a gunfish
The
on
OG
here
of
somewhere
it?
too.
So you
Okay.
do that, and here's the next question: how much time do you give those two baits before you switch up to something else?
I'll
If you're
give them,
specifically
no, I'll give
going
them,
for top,
I'll
water.
give them a couple holes and then, it'll depend on what's going on. But yeah, I mean, it really depends on, am I getting short striked? Am I not getting anything? I mean, it's,
Well, let's say you get a short strike. What do you do?
I'll either go up or down a size or I'll change colors.
But using the same baits,
Same style
style baits.
bait. Yeah.
Okay.
That means I'm close, but I just need to tweak something.
Okay, that's interesting. Jeremiah Giles has got Matthew Smith real quick wants to know what Lanier's water temp was today. You did a trip today.
I was out
Today
today.
is September 15th.
I saw water temp, if I'm not mistaken, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was back up to about 83.
Okay,
80,
that
yeah.
quick.
Yeah, it was back up to about 83
Okay.
when we got off the water.
I'm really
what part of the lake?
That would have been Tidwell area,
in the Tidwell. So is that considered mid or south?
south.
That's south.
That's south.
That's
Okay.
south.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
You
like the
pull
la-
out and hang around, and you're like, the damn.
That's
Okay.
that's the bottom 20%.
The bottom 20%. Jeremiah Giles, I got a question. The spots are mostly herring eaters, but does
Myth.
anyone think
Myth.
any of the dock fish key on crappie?
Absolutely, they do. I
Yeah,
think
at times.
fish eat what's
What
available.
about spots though? Spots
Dude, I
key on
can't know,
crappie?
but they'll eat them. I mean, so
Yeah.
there's a resident population of spots that hangs out in shallow water.
Bronson,
pretty
you know
much year
that.
round.
Remember, you caught a nice one about a month ago in what, about 3 foot of water?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, throw a jig.
I was out fishing
Yeah.
with my friend Steven, and we were fishing a brush pile in probably 40 feet of water, and we were catching perch and bluegill off of it. And if there's perch or bluegill down there, bass got to be eating those. They're just not going to ignore meals floating by like that.
Yeah.
You're going to find that here coming up soon for all of you prospective Lanier anglers coming up here as it gets below 70. You're going to find that the spots don't really care if it's herring or shad. If they've got bait hemmed up in a particular area, they don't care if it's threadfin, gizzards.
They got it. It's
I mean,
on
herring,
That's a predatory.
they're gonna
That's
eat.
a predatory fish.
Yeah.
Right.
You're going into winter.
Uh-huh.
It's a predatory
Yeah.
animal.
Right.
That's cold blooded. They're
Right.
going to eat whatever is
Available.
the easiest.
Mhm.
Shame
They
on
can
me,
get
what,
the
man?
maximum amount of
'Cause you know
calories
what
with the least
gunfish
amount
is.
of effort.
Oh.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think.
Shame on me, you're right.
I want to read this comment by Bruce. I guess this is Bruce talking, but it says Bruce and Tammy Arnold. I'd love to go on a trip on the Chick with you, Jeff. And I loved my first trip. Me and Tammy went on up at Talking Tackle Lodge. You up for that? He wants to know if you want to go up to the Chick, which Ryan and I will be up there in what, 2 weeks?
Something like that.
About 2 weeks, 3 weeks, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
It's about 3 weeks away.
Second week in October.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a.
Do you fish Chick a lot? You pretty experienced in that?
I fish it probably. I try to get up there 4 to 6 times a year.
Yeah. So for I know what Ryan's going to do, but for somebody like me that's never been on Chickamauga, what's the simplest, easiest way in October to catch fish?
The simplest, easy way.
Yeah. Simplest, easy way for somebody that's not experienced with the lake. They go there the first time
Go
because I hear frog.
No. go fish bluff walls.
Mhm.
Anything vertical. Any hard vertical thing that you can find.
So you're throwing crankbait, jerkbait?
No.
No?
No.
What?
No.
What are you
Okay,
throwing?
so I don't
You're not
think
going to say?
I don't think he's going to give us that juice, but
Ah.
off camera, will you help me out a little bit
Yeah,
like
I'll
that
help you
once
out.
we get off camera? Okay,
Nice.
that's interesting though because I know
I'll give away a lot of stuff, but every now and then I got to keep a couple.
Well, you have to.
You
And
know.
I tell every guest when they get on here, hey, listen, I just want you to give enough for the viewers to feel confident going and trying something. But I understand that completely.
No, but I'll put it to you like this. The vast majority of the time when I fish Chickamauga, I'll have 1 or 2 bait casters on the deck,
uh-huh.
and then I will have probably 4 spinning rods on the deck.
Oh,
Now, Ryan, when we
That's
go up there, will
knowledge.
that be you?
That's a hint.
No, see.
Mr. Bronson.
I
I do too.
Yeah, where's he
He
gonna get?
does
He doesn't
own
have
them
4
now.
spinning rods.
I do too.
He does.
I own a few egg beaters now.
But egg
Yeah,
beaters.
Brett's getting upset because I've already given away too close to
Oh,
the.
is that bass fishing wise?
Oh, yeah. So, listen, Brett, we're all family here, buddy. I mean, come on, help us out like that. So,
Right?
current topwater
Brett
pack.
laughed at me the first time I went to Chickamauga with him
Why is that?
because he goes, "You're doing a what? With a what?" And
Which
I was
is-
like, "Yeah, that's what we're going to do." He goes, "No, you're kidding me, right?" I'm like, "No, I'm dead serious." He goes, "We got to go through 3/4 ounce jigs." I'm like,
Mm-mm.
I bet Jeremiah.
Okay.
I bet Hunter
kinda
Moore has
know- I
caught some
kinda get where
real
you're
real
going with
nice
that a
bass
little bit
crappie
like
fishing.
that. But you know what? Seriously, when you say Chickamauga in the fall, which
Yeah,
of course for
everybody
those that
think-
don't
everybody
know,
thinks
that's
about grass.
located in Tennessee. I don't know how many times I've heard frog.
"Yeah, I mean, it's great
And that's
if
the
you can."
standard
It
answer.
is, but you need to have a general understanding where some of those fish are at because. And here's the other thing: I went up there at the end of last October. I was
Right.
like, "I'm going to go fish the grass. I want to fish the frog bite. I never fished frog bite." And I pulled into about 5 pockets, and there was like 4 boats per pocket. And I was like, "You know what? I am not going to fish the frog today." And I took my happy butt and I went and did something else. And I think I caught 30 plus fish that day.
So
I
are
didn't
there-
catch any big ones, but
are
by
there
God, I
any-
got bit all the time.
I
Are
just
there
didn't
any
want it.
lakes in our general area where frog fishing is more of a pattern?
And when you
Cedar
say frog
Creek.
fishing, you're talking, and that's Cedar, but you're talking a
Sinclair.
true frog.
Like lily pads,
Lily
mats.
pads.
Yeah.
Cedar Creek.
Bear
Bear Creek,
Some of your
if it
electric
gets
only
up.
reservoirs around here have that opportunity. And even Hickory Log has the little section of lily pads that are growing up. Hey, listen, everybody knows about it. There's no on that.
They don't know how to fish it.
Oh, they might not know how to fish it, but it's there. But that's interesting. You went up there and you're like, no, I'm going to do something different.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not on that lake gets a lot of pressure. So
Right.
I mean, it's
That's
not
what I've
unlike Lanier. And the difference is Lanier, people still generally speaking give you some space.
Mhm.
Not up there.
Oh, they're right up.
Oh,
in
no,
they're
they'll-
in your kitchen.
There'll be 2 of you. I mean, I have literally seen people go down a bank and it be like cars on a train going down the bank.
Would that be some good
And then
major
when
league fishing
one person
arguments?
gets to the end, they swing around and go back and it's like,
Like merry-go-round fishing.
yeah, like merry-go-round. Or I have also seen it where there were like 7 boats in a circle all facing in and everybody was casting into the middle.
Weird.
Oh,
And you're like carrying on a conversation with, like, you're not yelling to your buddy, hey man, how you feeling? Pretty good? All right. Yeah. Damn, I'm a fat.
There you go. There you go.
But anyway, no, I mean, it's like,
pull up Matthew Smith's comments.
Bumped into another boat day.
If you bumped it, hey, before, while he's talking, pull up Matthew Smith's comment. I'm gonna go there next. So
have I physically bumped into another boat? No, but I mean, I have seen areas where, you know, there were 5, 6, 7 boats in a very short time frame. Like, where you could have a conversation with the guy next to you without raising your voice.
But how
like
does that? I mean, but now how is that as far as being an angler? Was that okay with you?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is up there. I mean, that's just that lake fish is small.
How big is Chick compared to Lanier, Ryan?
It's bigger.
It's bigger.
It's bigger, but you just said it fishes small.
It does fish.
It does fish small.
And why is that?
It just the nature of the.
Is it more like a river? I mean,
it is very
like
much
a river.
It is more like a river,
Yeah.
and it is very current oriented. So in the winter, you can't. The surface area of that lake drops dramatically in the wintertime.
Do they lower it like they do Alatoona and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
But so all your flats that are normally in like 6 feet of water are high and dry.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Now, will they be starting that when we get up in October? Or is that a late winter thing?
They'll start it. I think it's November.
It's the end of November always when they start actually like sucking it pretty
After
hard.
After
No, I mean
Thanksgiving.
it'll really
Yeah.
depend on the weather conditions and how
Mhm.
much. No current is rough, and God forbid you go up there and try to fish that lake when they are pumping more water into the lake than they're pulling out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good.
Okay, all right.
That's
That's kind of like Burton after a week of heavy rain. No, just don't go. Just don't do it.
you can catch some fish, but it can be. Ooh.
Okay, so let's pull up Matthew's comment. He had a question or a comment kind of like right there. Where was it?
That one right there. Current topwater patterns. Are you running brush piles or structure or location like points, backs of creeks, etc.?
Yes.
So a little bit of everything.
Yes.
Okay.
So I mean, it is. Some area, like I found fish day before yesterday on a secondary hidden point, meaning hidden like you're looking at the bank and you're like, there's not a point here. And if you really look at your map, you're like, oh, there's a point here. That had 2 teeny tiny brush piles. And when I mean teeny tiny, I'm talking like something that you would find.
Charlie Brown's Christmas tree.
Yeah, Charlie Brown Christmas, not in like maybe half of Charlie Brown's Christmas
Okay,
tree.
so
like,
not legitimate, not
no,
these
like
chopping trees down brush piles.
like 2 dead bushes from Home Depot that somebody just went and sunk in the pot. You know, something that size.
Hey,
I mean, we're talking 3 feet max.
Holds
Okay.
bait.
Small, but there were probably 50 fish swimming around on that point.
really?
Oh yeah, there were fish. There were fish all over.
That is true. Ronald Pendergrass said, "Hey Ron, how you doing, buddy? How's the flutter spoon bite? Have you tried any of that lately?"
We're talking about Chick there. So.
Oh, are we? I was just.
So I don't know how it is on Chickamauga. I know they're catching them on flukes on Chickamauga right now.
Okay.
Or soft jerk baits.
All right.
Jerk shads, tricky shads, whatever. I mean, they're all good.
There's a flipping bite.
Yeah, I
going
didn't.
on.
I didn't.
There is
I didn't
there
frame
is a
that question
flipping
too
bite, but
good,
it's smaller number of fish. As far as Lanier, I have heard of people catching them on a flutter spoon, and they're actually catching them on a jigging spoon,
if
but
you
they're casting it.
If you follow Deshaun Johnson on Facebook, highly suggest that follow. Great kayak angler, fishes Alatoona and stuff a lot. He was killing him on casting a jigging spoon and working it like a flutter spoon. So that super small profile, but fluttering it back, he was just killing him.
Which, of course, now I will say this, and this is a shameless plug. I've noticed that the Georgia Blade flutter spoons in all sizes, the sales have really picked up over the last month. So I know a lot of people are really trying that.
Getting ready for the shad kill. Gotta get prep early.
Yeah, so absolutely. So again, if you go to fishnorthgeorgia.com, we've got a great selection of those right there. And I want to give a shameless plug, this is another one, to Waters HVAC. Buddy of mine, my air conditioning went out, and I'm here at the show tonight, and called him up. He had me set up and everything just like that. And he's like that with all his customers. And I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to give you a shout out tonight for how good you are. So, guys, if you're in the Canton, Cumming for South kind of North Georgia area. Waters HVAC 770-773-0073. Mason is a good guy. I used to work with him a long time ago. Super great guy. We'll set you up. And I told him, I said, I'm gonna give you a shout out on the show tonight for helping me out. But I knew he would help me out. But again, he would help any of you guys out. I think he's a great outdoorsman.
That comment where it says soft
jerk bait was killing him on Alatoona.
Yeah,
not surprised.
Why'd you block the Russian guy?
That is so.
I
With that one,
question. Was that what it was? Was it porn?
No.
I wanted to try to pronounce that name. It's got an awful lot of consonants in it, and I don't even know what some of them
You
symbols
don't know
were.
whether or not those are consonants.
I don't know. It's a lot of funky stuff, but I saw his comment, and I was in my mind. I'm trying to figure out how am I going to pronounce that.
Are you familiar with the Cyrillic alphabet?
It's a what?
The Cyrillic alphabet.
Hell, I can barely do ours. But I saw it. I'm like, okay, whatever. So anyway, Paul looks like somebody to report.
That's what he's talking about.
Oh, that's what he's talking about. Hell, I thought he was talking about Paul. I was like, damn, what's wrong with Paul? Looked buff tonight in that shirt, didn't he? He's got the captain's Mac. He's got captain's Mac on, and I even asked him.
Captain's Mac.
Captain's Mac.
Whatever the hell he is.
Oh my God! Captain's Mac.
Can we rename Lip Smacker to Captain Smack?
Well, regardless, I went up to Paul and I said, dude, did you lose some weight? He's kind of buff in his shirt tonight, so like that. Trip fishing, soft jerk bait bite on tuna is on fire.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
I was going to say yes, it is. Specifically,
And I'm glad a guy from Tuna joined us tonight. I thought we ran all them guys off.
We talked about tuna pretty hard last week.
It's good.
Mhm.
Good.
The 4 1/4 inch tricky shad on Altoona.
Now, you like Trickster
I like them and the Lanier baits.
and Lanier
jerk
Baits,
shad. Yes,
Jerk Shad,
both of them.
and all that. So, yeah, shout out to Lanier Baits
They're
and
different.
Trickster Custom Baits.
They're similar, but yet they're different, and they each have their own personality, so to speak. And
Right.
I guarantee you, I have one of each sitting
Yeah.
on the deck of my boat right now.
I
Bo-
use
both
Lanier,
good local
I use the
companies.
Trickster, and I also use the Strike King Caffeine Shad too a lot.
Yep, and that one has a completely different than the
Action.
other two.
Yeah.
So
And a little shout out to Trickster. Of course, Ryan, Mr. True Grit right here beside me, speaks highly, and I mean highly, of Trickster's double tail.
Oh,
Crusty,
great.
the 4 and 5 inch
Oh,
crusty
The
crawl.
5-inch
is-
crusty crawl is great. And
Yes, that thing is
He's
hands
very
down.
highly of it.
the
It's
tricky
good.
worm is my favorite shaky head worm on the face of the
And
planet.
again, if you want to
Face
come
of
into the
planet.
store at Fish North Georgia, we got both. But
Yep.
what you like about it, and of all the compliments that you give me, it doesn't matter how good the bait is. This is the one I love the best. He takes the time to put them in the package right.
Well, Benji makes sure all the tails are laid flat.
Mhm.
So then
Yes.
when you pull
You
them
know how
out
he
of the
does it?
package,
Now, how's he do it?
Pam on a big spatula.
yes.
Really?
Yeah, he lands
And
them
then
on
and then slides them in the bag and then
he
pushes
slides
down
them
and
out
slides
pulls them
them.
back out.
That's how he does it.
Brilliant.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
But see, he doesn't. But see, when he
It
does
is miserable
that,
to do it by hand. I've
It
tried
is.
it. Oh my gosh.
but see, the way he does it is when you buy a pack of his and you pull them out to put on the back of a jig or whatever, 100% that the tails are not bent or anything like that. You
Yeah,
pulling that thing
they're
out,
flat.
you slide that on, and they're straight.
How's your singing voice tonight?
Huh?
How's your singing voice tonight?
Wonderful, I guess.
Okay, so tomorrow is Dylan's dilly.
Dilly.
Dilly's
We'll make
birthday
a
is
video
tomorrow.
for him tomorrow.
Will you
And
sing
we'll
happy
post
birthday
it.
tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll post it.
Okay, so that Dylan, happy birthday tomorrow. We'll give you
That'll
a
be a
little bit
great
of
TikTok.
singing. Does Jeff nose hook them? And then we're going to talk about the jerk shads or tricksters. So do you when you set up a fluke style bait?
I am throwing them right now on a 3, 4, or 5/0 owner offset worm hook, Texas rig.
Do you do like Ryan, where Ryan has a swivel up
No,
a little bit
I don't
because it keeps his down? So you
Yeah,
don't-
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. The reason I don't is because it adds another knot into the mix, and it's easier for me just to tie a leader straight on and roll with it. And I don't have to worry about it.
I got it. But for those that don't know, why do you tie the swivel onto your fluke style baits? I know why, but explain to everybody that might not know.
Nah, I just do it because I can work the bait with that weight on there a little bit more erratically.
Just a little bit more.
And
weight.
sometimes I don't want it right on the surface. Sometimes I want it just like a foot below the surface, and having that swivel lets me keep it a foot
And
below the surface.
some of that, exactly. There's a comment that asks how do I know which one to throw between the Lanier baits. So Lanier baits generally will stay up higher in the water column,
A little less salt or something.
and the trickster will stay a little bit lower,
little more salt.
easier.
And so you let the fish dictate to you which one you're going to use.
A lot of times.
Okay.
And some days they want one,
Yep.
and then the next day they want the other.
Yep.
And I'm like, what in the world?
For
They'll let
me,
you know pretty
for me,
quick.
I fish a fluke 3 different ways. I do a lot like Ryan does. I'll have a swivel sometimes, and to me, it's not only getting it down, but also I think it triggers something in the bass saying, "Hey, that fish is chasing something. I'm gonna go."
You think that just that little bit of something in front of it?
Yeah,
That's
and then,
interesting.
but also I do the nose hook. If I'm not fishing around cover and they're really committed, I'll do the nose hook because to me that's just like super simple. And then I'll fish.
Plus, I don't throw mine on a bait cast.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't throw mine on a spinner.
Yeah, you throw yours on bait catch. Now, I'm going to throw this question to you,
Okay.
just basically because you and I talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
From Bruce and Tammy Arnold again. Guys, will the north end turn before the south? I noticed the thermocline is rising at Richard B. Russell on Tuesday, but they're in a funk there as well. But I love putting in at Laurel Park. Just kind of describe what you saw the other day.
So I've been fishing Lanier with my friend Tim for the past 2 days, and we've just been hitting the backs of creeks and stuff because he prefers to fish shallow. And I've been seeing a ton of dead leaves floating, but no dead leaves on the trees. And I've been seeing just a ton of junk in the water. And so to me, that's telling me that in the backs of creeks, at least, the turnover is starting. And then a few of my kayak friends who were fishing the Chestatee and the northern part of the Chattahoochee were saying that the rivers were looking a little funky. So to me, that's saying, yeah, in some of the areas, the lakes and the rivers are starting to get into that fall transition. That's not going to happen on the main lake for a hot minute. Like it's just not. But
Right.
in the backs of creeks and
Physics.
physics.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
then I was going to throw to you. What signs do you see, kind of like what he was describing, that lets you know, okay, the thermocline, the lake's flipping?
Air bubbles.
Air
Yeah,
bubble.
I mean,
I knew that's your answer. I knew air bubbles.
Yeah,
was coming.
there's the air bubbles, but the air bubbles, it needs to be like a blanket of them, not just like a set of bubbles, because a set
Me
of
and
bubbles
Bronson
can
found
come
one.
from all kinds of things.
Me and
So-
Bronson found one Tuesday that you looked across the pocket Tuesday evening, and it was there.
Yeah, I mean, right now the shallow water will flip before deeper water,
right.
but it's going to the main lakes. It's going to still be up. The surface temps were, like I said, we're 83 when I got off today.
Right.
It's going to be a minute before that water flips.
And so let me ask you this. Let's say you get in the back of the pocket and you're seeing stuff kind of like what Nathan saw, and then we get this hot spell that's getting ready to come. Can that in and of itself basically cease that right there?
It'll slow it down.
It'll slow it down. Once it starts, it's always going to kind of, but it will make it drag a little
It'll
bit.
make it drag.
But it
longer.
does start at the north end of Lanier before it gets down to the south.
Starts in the
your
shallow water.
Shallow water. So it could be shallow water down by the dam if you in a pocket somewhere.
Yeah, so you go in the
Okay.
very, very back of Young Deer right now. It's some funky looking water.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, that's interesting.
I
So
mean,
it's not necessarily north to south;
No,
it's shallow to
it's
deep.
Shallow to deep.
Yep.
There you go. That's good information right there.
This
It's
question
the
from-
exact opposite of what happens in the springtime.
Yeah.
And describe what happens in the springtime.
Springtime, your shallow water warms before your deep water.
Even
So
too, like
it's gonna-
another great example of that too is like the fish are keyed in on different size
That's
bait.
good. That's
Spring
good.
to fall,
Okay.
it's opposite. Spring, bigger size bait, generally speaking. Fall,
smaller
generally
stuff.
smaller.
Yeah.
Bruce and Tammy Arnold have a good question here too. Jeff and Nathan, are you two using forward-facing sonar? Jeff,
At times,
How
I-
much do you rely on it?
I use it a good bit. However, I'll say this: I think some people already saw the picture of the striper I caught earlier this week.
I saw it.
I had no idea that fish was there. That fish came out.
Just came out of nowhere.
Absolutely nowhere.
I don't use it, and I don't use it for a couple of reasons. One, I just don't like it. It doesn't fit how I like to fish because it's just a distraction for me because I want to power fish. I want to keep moving as much as I can in a kayak, and I'm fishing shallow. So for me, it's not really beneficial in a lot of instances. The only thing I could see it being really beneficial on is peeking under docks and looking at brush piles and stuff better. Also, it takes up space in my kayak that I don't have, like in a kayak.
Yeah, you're
space-
totally different like that.
Space
You're
is like
challenged.
a premium. Some bigger kayaks like New Canoe Unlimiteds and Hobies and stuff can deal with it a lot better. Mine can't, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and Ryan, you are more of a 2D guy. Not that you're against forward-facing
I wouldn't even
sonar.
say I'm a 2D guy.
Well, I mean,
I'm
you
more
know,
of a don't turn the damn thing on.
yeah. Well,
I mean,
that
don't-
might be the best way
Yeah.
to describe it. Yeah, absolutely.
Forward facing definitely has its advantages. It's phenomenal technology. The more you use it, the more you start to understand it and like, hey, this is working. And what I'll do is I'm like, are the fish up in the water column? Or are they low in the water column?
Mm-hmm.
Are they chasing? Or are they not chasing? Am I getting a lot of followers? Am I not getting a lot of followers? And then that helps let me figure out what's going on. The flip side of forward facing is that you can get aggravated and sit and mess with fish way
absolutely.
too long than what you should. So
Absolutely.
it is a 100% double-edged sword.
Have y'all seen the new Garmin commercial?
Mhm.
And it's basically showing the new Garmin, and you hear this guy talking, and he goes, "Oh, that's a bass right there." And in about a few seconds, say, "Oh, that's my bait right there. Oh, that's a bass getting my bait." And they made it sound like it's just so simple
It is
to
not
use.
that
it's
simple.
not.
And is that not the biggest kind of
It is not that
misconception?
simple.
Yeah, but that's the way they
that's
portray it.
Forward
It's marketing.
facing sonar. If you let it, forward facing sonar will spin you so far out of the realm of bass fishing that if you let it screw you up,
It's a tool.
you
Yes.
need to go put it on the trailer.
Right.
And like
It
Jeff
is a
said,
tool.
it's a tool. It is not something to go, I'm not going to catch fish unless I'm looking at the forward facing sonar.
But there's guys out there that
There
are
are
like that.
There are.
And you can tell which ones they are when they come to a weigh-in, and they're the ones with the crook back and the bent neck.
Yeah.
It's like
Now,
it's seized.
No,
up.
it's not that. They're the ones that go up at the weigh in. They're like, man, we were all around them all day, man. We never, almighty. It's like,
yeah.
It is cool to watch.
It is
when you
cool.
see those little jokers shoot out of the brush pile and cut up. You're like, oh, here we go.
Now-
Then the problem becomes is not setting the hook too soon because you see the fish coming. You're like, they're coming. Here we go. Oh, look, and you break your cadence or you jerk the hook too fast. Or you get overexcited. I mean,
but
it's a tool.
to drive that point home that it's a tool. Like, I've been beaten by, guys in kayak tournaments that have live scope, and I'm totally cool with it because to me it's just a tool. Like, they know how to use
They've
it,
learned how to
but they
master it.
also know how to catch fish before having that. Like, Kai Wong is an amazing bass angler,
Yes.
and he was amazing before you put live scope on his boat. Deshaun, another great kayak angler, but he was an amazing fisherman before he put live scope on his boat.
Right.
So it doesn't bother me at all. It's just a tool. I don't have it. To me, I don't need it or want it. So, like, I'm cool with that. That's
But
the
they were,
decision I
like
made.
you said, it was very important. They're not just a novice out there playing. So they knew what they were doing before.
Yeah.
Now, how about this, Jeff? How much do you use side scan?
Not as much as I use downscan. I use it, but I use downscan
See,
more.
for me, anytime I see side scan, I'm still having trouble reading the thing. I don't spend enough time on the water. I'm here or whatever. But that side scan, just the way it looks, I can't get it. I
use
can't wrap
side-
it
You have
around
to
my
remember.
head.
So there's
I use it like crazy.
side scan. There's like a depth range, like 5 to 20 feet, where it's awesome.
Yep.
The deeper you go, the less detail you're going to see on your side scan.
Okay.
But
so
to me,
you
that's
gotta
like
blow it up.
That's my bread and butter. 20 feet is like the deepest I fish. So like 5 to 20 feet is my thing. Side scan to me is primarily not for finding fish, though you can use it for that if you have it set right. I use it to find structure like brush piles, rock piles, that kind of stuff. Like,
but
that's what it's
even
great
then
at.
when you're doing that, put it on a full screen.
Yep.
All right. Don't try to like put it in a little 5-inch box down there in the very corner. And no, you need to blow it up.
Blow it up.
It is because a lot of times what you will see that identifies like a brush pile or a rock pile or something on side scan is the shadow, not the actual piece of structure. So you see the
Gotcha.
shadow and you back up a little bit.
I
and there
got
it
you.
is.
There's something I want to say, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want to take off John Allred, so I'm not going to say it.
Don't do that. So Cole Griggs wants to know, what depth are the fish in with the thermocline?
I'm catching all my fish in 30 feet or less.
What do you see the thermocline at right now? Is it about 30 foot? 30?
Yeah, I'm not seeing much fish. The 30, 35, maybe.
Okay.
And
If
that's where I'm seeing
aren't they
everything.
normally just above the thermocline?
Most of the time.
Most of the time?
Sometimes they'll get mixed in right there, right at the top third of it. But
I mean, the thing to remember
they won't
is
go below it.
They can't go below it because
Yeah.
there's no oxygen below
And
it.
if you're fishing a lot of the electric only reservoirs, I've been seeing it at like 25 feet probably.
A little bit
so
smaller.
not that much different.
Danny Hogg said, just got home. Welcome back. Hey, thank you very much. Hi, Jeff. You know Danny?
Through Facebook, yeah.
Good dude.
Yeah.
Very good dude. I like him. And so Dylan Johnson. Oh, no. Bruce and Tammy, I want to pull that comment up right there because this actually reminds me of something Farmer says when it comes to high pressure and stuff like that. I was always taught standing pine needles, it's halfway. So I guess he's talking about the lake flip.
Yeah, he's talking about the density of the water with the essentially the density of the pine needles and the fact that
Okay, all right, I got you. So Jonathan Farmer always talks about
the science behind
like it's either high, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, because he talks about whether it's high pressure or low pressure. If there's trash in the water, the sticks are not laying flat; they're facing straight up, so they're vertical. Is that high pressure?
Sure.
Is that? Do you know?
I don't let that dictate.
I know, but I'm just asking. Is that the
Jeff?
what he's saying?
Jeff can answer that
I don't
question.
I don't really know that.
He talks about it when he comes up here at the store like that. Dylan Johnson, when you say odd looking water, what do you mean?
Off color,
Off-colored.
and what I mean by off colors, I don't necessarily mean like a stain from like dirt off colored. So, like you will see later on in the fall, specifically like a pea green looking water.
It's really weird.
Yeah, I mean it just doesn't look
Not the normal clear,
right. It's not the normal, or even like the post monsoon flood. Burnt orange that you'll see sometimes, Jimmy Sanders.
It's like a weird green color or like a brownish color. Like it's not Lanier emerald green. It's not, and it's chocolate milk. It's like, it's just me. It's almost like seeing really tannic water sometimes. Like that's just gross.
And you'll see a bunch of stuff suspended in the water column, like things floating on the water. Yeah, I'm not paying a big deal with that one because a lot of that could be because we've had some serious rains in the last couple of weeks, so you get a lot of wash off and.
Right.
Stuff of that nature.
I mean,
but
like
when you see stuff
halfway,
like suspended in the water column, like a foot down, and it's just junk that is suspended in the water column, that's not good water.
Okay.
You probably need to go find somewhere else.
Yep.
There you go. Actually, we're talking about Jonathan Farmer. He's got a comment right there. He wants to say, congratulations, Jeff, on being able to start the guide service. I know a lot of folks have been looking forward to having you guide.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people been asking, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? Are you doing it? I'm like, I'm coming.
Got you. But
I got you.
But you're here.
Just hang on. I'm back.
And so this is a good time too. I want to tell you guys about another fine sponsor that we have here at the Livewell, Buford Dam Bait and Tackle. Listen, located at 2595 Buford Dam Road. Dave and the guys there, listen, it is a full service tackle shop. They got live bait. They can set you up for anything on Lanier that you need. They're very customer service oriented, great guys. They'll take the time. You come in, you tell them, let's just say you're struggling on something like that. You go up to them and say, listen, I'm wanting to catch fish this way. What can I use? Dave and his staff will set you up. If you are looking for the trout game down below Buford Dam right there, they've got a selection of flies and trout TNT and stuff like that. So definitely if you're in the area, now they're located on the south end of the lake, right there on Buford Dam Road. South Point Beach, am I correct right there? Near Lanier Beach South right there.
Just up the road from Little Ridge.
Just up the road from Little Ridge right there. Listen, go in there, talk to Dave and the guys. Tell them the guys at Fish North Georgia sent you. And one of the things I always talk about with that, people ask, why are you letting another tackle shop be a sponsor of your show when you own a tackle shop? The reason being is because they're just like us,
and they're awesome.
They're awesome. Cool. They'll take any small business that will take the time to actually get to know you, talk to you like that. We will support here. It doesn't matter if they're not competitors with us. They're kind of like family with us, like that. And so if you're in the Lake Lanier area, definitely go by and check out Buford Dam Bait and Tackle. Their phone number is 706-429-7211, and again, the address is 2595 Buford Dam Road. They're open 7 days a week. They open up pretty early. They got live bait. If you're a live bait guy like that, they got that.
You can also snag some of the famous Rob Williams spot chokers there too.
That's right.
The full array of them there.
The full array of there. Yeah. So
best lure on Lanier.
You think so right now? I know a lot of guys are using it.
I'm unbiased. I'm a little biased.
They're good. They're very good. Spot choker makes a great underspin.
They do.
But again, thank you to Buford Dam Bait and Tackle for sponsoring us here on the Livewell. We appreciate you guys, and give them some business.
It's one of my best friends.
Yeah, give them some business, and like I said, that's important to us to kind of what's that saying, Jeff? The rising tide, right?
Lifts all boats. Rising tide lifts all boats.
Rising tide lifts all boats. So we wish the guys over there well, and we thank them for their support. Jeff, Brian Marcuson, good buddy of mine, wants to know what brand of electronics do you run?
Mostly Lowrance.
Lowrance, you're an L guy.
Yeah, I do have a Garmin, but when I order my next boat, I'll have 3 Lowrance and a Humminbird.
3 Lawrence, and what?
Why the Humminbird?
For mapping.
Lake Master.
Nice.
Yep, I knew
Good
where
call.
that was coming.
Do you use the C maps and the community maps function for your Lawrences?
Yeah, I've looked at them side by side, and there's
Oh, there's no difference. I mean, for sure.
It's Humminbird.
You did the charts and maps talk at the expo last year.
I did.
It was very good. Yeah.
Yep. And so, speaking of Lanier baits, LJ is now here from, I guess, Taco Thursday, and just want to tell you, LJ, that Jim gave a very nice compliment to your jerk shads, and we talked about that earlier, so you missed that. So that was a very good thing. And they've got their custom painted bills that are going to be coming out here very
Magic
soon.
swimmer. No, hard bait swimmer.
I don't know how they're going to call it.
The swimmer.
I will say this.
Like Earl would say.
I've got one upstairs.
I have seen one that has been thrown and thrown and thrown and thrown and thrown and thrown and thrown. And
The one up there from Michigan.
It looks still like it just came out of the package.
And and one thing
I can't say the same for the vast majority of the similar type baits.
I understand, and one of the things
it's been beat to hell and back.
That's
It
right,
looks
and
like it came out of the package.
one of the things that Lanier Baits, in conjunction with the producer of that bait, is that they wanted a really tough clear. It's 4 custom colors that are going to be coming out. They wanted a real tough clear coat to prevent that. Like
They
what
got
you're
it.
saying, and so they
They
got
got
it. I've got one upstairs that I'm going to be throwing. I think I don't remember the exact color, the name of the color. I think it's like a green.
Ghost herring.
It's ghost.
Yeah.
Is it ghost herring? I'm looking forward to throwing that. I think it worked pretty good on a cloudy day. It's got the chartreuse and the green and all that stuff.
LJ, Corey, and Big Earl are just killing it right now, and everything. I mean, everything I've thrown from Lanier Baits is some of the best lures you can
They're
throw
pretty
right
good,
now.
ain't they?
They're all right.
Yeah, they're all right
They're
people. Even though I really do think that Corey Harmon is, I think he cheats at the tacos. I don't know that anybody ever actually saw him. Did you witness? You go there on Taco Thursdays.
Oh yeah.
Did he eat the 16?
I was not there.
Right.
Matter of fact, I think I may have been here when that
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Listen,
or maybe I was in Missouri. I don't remember.
I think
I might have been in Missouri.
Corey's kind of he's built like me. He's actually smaller than me.
He can eat though. I've seen that kid eat.
I just don't understand what
He
it
can
is
pack it
about
away.
him. So, but anyway, so yeah, you owe me, Harmon. You don't owe him. You owe me. Greenback Ghost. So anyway, so looking forward to that. They're going to be released, I think, to the public in November.
Yeah, he's taking pre-orders.
Right now. We're going to have them
a
here at
selection
Fish, North Georgia, and some of the better tackle shops around here will have them and stuff like that. So we're looking forward to it. But I asked him, I'm going to throw it here in the next week or two. I've got one of the models that he gave me, and I'm looking forward to it.
Joker on Latham.
It's
am.
It's getting time.
It's getting time.
It's getting time.
And,
it's close.
So again, another great product from Lanier Baits.
Scroll back up.
You owe me some money for that real shout out right there, LJ.
Keep going.
That's what we're looking at. Let me ask you this, just while he's scrolling up. I know
Keep
Jeremiah mentioned big swim baits. Do you ever throw any big
Right
swim
there.
baits? You're not a big guy like that. Don't throw those like
I don't
that.
throw the
All right, read that. Whatever you're looking for right there.
So I don't know anything about the eat me Googans because I'm not a Googan guy.
Filthy frog.
The filthy frog, is that what it's called?
Not
I
a lot
don't-
of people like.
I don't
these.
really know anything about the frog, but you can bend your hooks up a little bit. The biggest thing I always tell people though is boil them.
That's-
Boil your frogs.
Boil them because you'll make the plastic
Yeah.
softer.
There's only one frog that I don't boil right out of the package, and that's a scum frog because it is just great out of the
You
package.
should boil them.
Ryan
Boil
boils.
your frogs.
You should
He
boil
talks
the
about
scum
that.
frog.
And you always say that that's more important than bending the hooks is the boil.
I don't really prefer to bend my hooks because I just don't love losing potential integrity when it comes to a
Yeah,
frog.
as
Comes
soon as
from
you
you
start
making
bending metal, you
baits.
start
Yeah.
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 messing with
So
it.
because you make baits,
Yeah.
and jigs on that. So
Well, and
any
two,
kind of-
I was a machinist for
Exactly.
a while, and I understand metal.
and what does it do when you bend the
When
bend
you
the hook
when
out?
you bend a hook, when you've already got something that's come up, it made like a frog hook comes up, and it comes straight. They put when they forged it, they put a hard bend in that thing. If you bend it open, you're taking the stress that's in that bend and you're giving it a place to go.
Yep.
And in turn, and if you fish a frog in the slop and you set the hook like I do with the kind of rod that I do with the gear ratio reel that I use, the last thing you want is any kind of
Like weak spot.
bend or
Yeah.
weak spot.
I will say a suggestion if you want a frog that just came out that was forged to say it was made that way, that has a more open hook. Check out the new 13 Fishing Pad Crasher. I got to fish one last week. I bought one last week. It's pretty sweet. They're pretty soft, but I would boil it too. But it has that more open face style hook that you should check out.
Let me ask you this while we're just on the frog thing. Knowing that a lot of people think that way, you got to boil them, or you get a lot of people think you got to bend the hooks out. Why don't the manufacturers just make them with a little more openness in their hooks? I mean, if it's kind of common knowledge, a lot of people bend them for that little bit of extra hook. Why don't they just make them like that?
Because they're mass producing.
They're
those
mass
hooks.
produced.
Those hooks are the same hooks they put on all kinds of other stuff.
So it's a cost thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes plenty of sense.
Yeah, 13 Fishing just did it though. Like, I'm sure some other companies are gonna start doing it for sure now that 13's doing it. So I think it'll become
Okay, so
popular.
you're saying though that the 13 comes a little bit with
Comes with more open hooks. Yeah.
And my last comment before we go back down and move on, I will say this: frog fishing, you can't stop it. You're going to lose them.
Mhm.
It's going to happen.
It's the nature of the bait.
It's going to
spot
happen.
bait fishing.
So yeah, it's,
Yes.
exactly.
Lose fish.
Just in case somebody's listening and wants to know, what would be the setup and line that you would use for a frog?
The one that I actually set up is it's a Castaway Grassmaster braid 7.3 extra heavy rod with a real limber tip on it, so I can really walk the bait without having to move a bunch, and a 9:1 gear ratio Revo Rocket, 65-pound braid.
You throw braid straight to it.
Straight to it. I don't have no leaders. I don't have nothing. I tie
Frog fishing.
frog fishing is
Okay.
that rod is when they bite my frog. Bronson's over here. When they bite it, by God, I cross their eyes and I give them a water ski ride.
So this
It
is
don't matter if it's a 4-pounder or a 2-pounder. I give them a water ski ride.
this is something I do when I fish a frog. I count to 2. Is that something you do?
Mm-hmm.
Before you set the hook.
Yeah, before I set the hook, be a little patient.
When they get it, a lot of times if you're having a problem getting a hook in a frog, my advice is you throw that thing out there and you start walking it. And when you see that you're walking it pretty good, do this.
Just look away.
Because you'll hear, and then it's
Yep.
You don't automatically set
because that right there, when you hear, you're like, oh. And then by that time, that fish has come up, it's grabbed it, and it's come down.
Yep.
When that fish's head is going back down, when you rear down and you slack line that thing and cross its eyes, the hooks
crosses eyes.
The hooks are going just like this.
Thank you, Nathan.
And
The other thing too is,
jacking them.
if you watch some lab videos of fish in a lab setting, they put lily pads and stuff, and they're walking frogs. When they hit that and they're coming back down, a lot of times they're repositioning the frog in their mouth to swallow it.
Yes.
And so that's why you want to count, because if they got their mouth open and repositioning that and you set the hook, you're pulling the frog out of their mouth 9 out of 10 times.
Yes.
I want to ask Jeff this because of what you guys just said. So growing up, I'm a farm pond guy. My dad was big on throwing shiners and all that.
So is he.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm going with him.
Yeah,
on that
okay.
question. Yeah. So I was taught as a young kid that when a bass grabbed a shiner, you float one under, because that's the way we were fishing them. My dad and my grandfather always made me count to 5 before I set the hook. And here's the reason why they said this was their science, whether it's true or not. He said that the bass would scale. Basically, they get it in their teeth. This is what he would tell me. They would scale it before they would swallow it. I don't think that's true and all that. But he would make me wait till 5 before I set the hook. Now, is that the way you was kind of raised and you fished a little bit?
I fish some. I would say when it comes to topwater and a lot of that stuff, live bait fish, it's like you want to make sure the fish is on it before you rip their, cross their eyeballs.
Cross their eyes is what Ryan says.
And the other thing too is when it comes to crossing their eyes, a lot of times you start looking at rods are getting longer, lines are getting stiffer. You don't have to swing as hard as you used to when you had a 5.5-foot rod that you could bend over and touch the tip to the butt.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to. I mean, you just there's
especially on treble hook baits. Treble hook baits needs to be a bite, and it needs to be a kind of a sweep with a quick little reel, and then you let the fish go where it's going to go. Because once it feels you do that quick little reel and that sweep, the next thing he's going to do is go in the opposite direction of your pulling. He's pulling them treble hooks deeper into
There's so
him.
much power when you start talking about a 7 7.5,
Mhm.
8-foot rod with braided line with no stretch.
Mhm.
Right.
That's a lot of power when you start swinging that thing at, you know.
But you and I didn't grow up that way. We had those short rods.
We had a 5.5 foot, you know, pistol grip, and you know, you had to like rear back on them, but
Not anymore.
Well, let me ask you. Let me
you
ask
don't
you
have to
this
do
with
it
that.
anymore very much.
Just because it was a conversation that came up at some point, I just remember it. You know, back in the day, a 6.6 was considered a long rod, and now we've got the 7.
That's a short rod.
It's a short rod now. Why do you think it went out of style? Because those guys were catching fish on 6.6s,
Casting distance.
Casting
Yeah.
distance.
so it's purely casting.
Technology in rods has come so far in the past 30 years with parabolic actions and stuff. I mean, they put a lot of science in the rod, you know, having the difference in 3 to 4 inches of a rod over 7 foot can be the difference in having a rod that you're like, man, I love this, but I love this rod for throwing spooks and stuff on because I like never lose them.
Right.
And just the parabolic action that they've been putting in
So
the
I've
rods
got
and stuff is so good.
I have a 6.5 foot medium light casting rod
Uh-huh.
that I will throw small topwater baits on.
Mm-hmm.
And if a fish gets a hook in him, he usually can. I rarely will lose a fish on that rod.
That's cool.
Rarely will I lose it. Now, am I controlling the fish on that rod? No.
A little bit different.
I have to
so
wear them down.
There's a little give and take.
I'm not throwing that around cover and on the bank, but open water, topwater stuff, yeah.
That's the glass one, right? That's the legend, right?
No, it's a different one.
This is where I feel too that YouTube is
The
kind
one
of
you're talking about is the
detrimental
one
to
I
some
throw
fishermen
Sabills on
because of the
and stuff. It's a
YouTube hook
medium,
set.
heavy,
Like
moderate, fast.
you just gotta smack them every time you catch a fish. Like the YouTube hook set, like is one of the worst things that like young people and inexperienced bass fishermen can learn. Like when I got back into bass fishing a few years ago, like. And I was just reeling on them all the time. I was like, why do I keep missing fish? Why do my jig fish keep becoming unpinned? Like, what's going on here? Like, then Ryan was talking to Ryan about it. He's like, well, you need to use a less heavy rod and you just need to be like, boop, and you'll catch a lot more fish. And once I listened to a more experienced angler, it's just like, be gentler about it. You know, caught a lot more fish.
It's just interesting. Did you see Dylan's comment right there? He's got a question for you. Do you have any suggestions on throwing the Sabills, Jeff? And now let me describe Dylan. What's he? 15, 16, 14, 15. So young guy.
He's going to be 16 tomorrow, man.
Oh, is it
16
16? Oh,
16
wow. We might have to have a cake for me.
Don't overpower it with the rod.
Don't overpower it with the rod. All right, and so for somebody like him getting into it, what do you mean by that?
So you don't want to throw that on a heavy action fast or a medium heavy extra fast. You want some kind of a rod with some bend in it. I mean, you could even throw it on a crankbait rod if you wanted to.
So that you let the rod bend when the hook when the fish hits.
Let the rod have some give to it, and then, because you're going to hear the fish, you're naturally going to swing because a lot of times those fish when they hit, they're on the surface. You don't want to overpower the rod and rip the treble hooks out, and you want something that's got a little bit of give and to combine with your drag.
It's like a square bill rod.
Yeah,
be good.
Like I throw mine on a 7 foot medium heavy moderate fast.
That's what I was about to say. That's the same thing I throw mine on. It's a 7
Ryan's
foot medium
saying
heavy moderate.
It's
you've got the tip in that thing to when they come up, they're schooling and you throw it way over there or whatever, or you ray off of a brush pile.
Dylan, if you want a great rod for that, they have them up here at Fish North Georgia. The Cashin 7 foot medium heavy moderate fast crankbait rod would be perfect for
I
it.
don't know, that FX probably blows that one out of the water.
Well, okay. Well, they're both great rods.
Yeah, if you was serious about setting up a Sabil rod, to be serious, that 7 foot medium heavy moderate fast FX rod, extreme angler, that one right there is. We sold 2 of them the other day. I told them, I said, this is the rod. If you're wanting to get one, this is the rod to do it with.
Well, if you need to be flexible and have a rod that can do multiple things,
check
out the Cashin.
Okay, you like Cashin.
Yeah.
I seem to like them both. What's just since they brought up rods, what kind of rods do you like to throw?
I'm a St. Croix guy.
You're the
Best
same
rods on
thrower.
earth.
I've been
That's what they
throwing them.
say.
I've been throwing them for years. I know, generally speaking, there's slight changes from year to year, but I know how I know how the powers are set up. I know how the actions are set up.
You're so familiar with them.
I'm familiar with them. I love, they've got a phenomenal warranty on the especially the higher end rods, so the Legend series and the Victory series. I love them.
They're all around. They're just no matter what you pick up in terms of St. Croix,
they're
they're comfortable to throw too.
Yeah,
That's one of the biggest things about
that Victory
it.
line they came out with is really, really nice, especially at the price point.
That Victory jerkbait rod is a phenomenal topwater rod.
Okay.
For like a standard chug bug or a Super Spook Junior, anything, a 77.7 splash blow.
Yeah.
So anything of that size, that rod is a phenomenal.
Do you own any glass rods?
St.
Croix puts out
St. Croix Legend crankbait rod glass.
Yes,
is freaking awesome.
I don't have any of those, but I do have another glass. Matter of fact, I do. I have a medium, moderate, fast glass of the new Legend tournament, and it's a
and you use it for crankbait.
I'll throw I threw some small crankbaits on today, and I will actually throw some topwater stuff on that too.
Okay.
Craig Dyed turned me on to the St. Croix glass rod,
and he's a very good angler like that.
It's fantastic.
Like that. I'm missing any of the questions right now. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody's questions. Are we so far behind? Well, listen, a lot of great conversation going on right there. A lot of good information being put out. I did notice that Michael Temple's put, and it's kind of on my comment right there. So he has an aquarium that's got a bass, and when he drops some minnows in it, the bass will leave half of it hanging out of his mouth before he swallows. But sometimes he gulps them like that. So, but I think my dad and my grandfather might have been off a little bit when they said they scale them. You know?
Yeah, they're not scale. They're chewing it and getting it like switched, turned around,
so they could.
Yeah, so they can go down the right way.
Absolutely, like that. So, let's see, Bruce and Tammy Arnold. Jeff, do you ever have off a year with? Let's see, that moved right there. Do you ever have an off year with a certain bait?
Yeah.
This year, I guess for them, it's been the fluke jerk shad. For me, I normally kill them with it.
Yeah, I mean, because conditions change, and you a lot of it is psychological too. You get into a comfort zone on a certain bait on a certain year, and then you just you stick with it. You know, I mean, I caught a pile of fish on an IMA skimmer last year. I mean, a pile of, but I haven't caught a whole bunch of them on it this year. But I haven't thrown it as much because the couple of times I have thrown it, I hadn't gotten bit, and I switch over to a gunfish and get walloped. So I'm throwing a gunfish.
And then you tell everybody about that, and then the lake you're fishing, the pond you're fishing, everybody's throwing that thing, and then it's like, well, they've seen that so much now, you're just like, gotta switch to something.
Yeah, I've been throwing a gunfish for about I don't know, since they probably came out. I mean, I've been throwing one on this year like forever.
2010.
2010. Let me ask you. Let me ask you this.
I've been throwing one since. I've been throwing one since then.
It's just because I fish with Ryan and I know how he is. So when he's on his horny toad, he's very stubborn with it. He is going to throw it no matter what because he's got confidence in the bait. He knows eventually he's going to get it. And to the point where I've had people comment like, why don't he change up? But, he's got in his mind, this is what I'm going to do. It's going to work. I'm going to keep throwing it. And even when it doesn't work, he's still got confidence in that bait. What is your one confidence bait that you would be more like Ryan with? Like, I'm going to throw that. I know eventually I'm going to run into him. Do you have a confidence bait like that? Yeah, you have a confidence.
Your safety blanket.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me, hey, you can grab one rod today and go fishing 12 months out of the year and go catch fish.
Yeah,
I'm going to pick up a drop shot rod.
I know it.
Just that you have that confidence.
Yeah, but I'm not.
What's yours, Danny?
I'm not going to fish it like staring at a video screen the whole time.
Right. What is mine?
Yeah,
I probably would throw. Even though I like throwing stuff better, probably a shaky head or a wacky worm.
Nice.
I have confidence in a wacky worm. Just because I've done pretty well in it, but. Again, there comes a time like in the summertime on Lanier for me, that bite died. And I'm still not to the level of an angler where I can, I don't want to make that adjustment. I know I should have probably made the adjustment.
It's not, we're all stoked. I mean,
I would throw it.
My least favorite thing is tying on new stuff. I hate it.
I just like a wacky worm, but a weightless. See, that's and that's why a lot of people talk because Ryan, I'll be fishing with Ryan. He's going in the back of those pockets, and he's got.
You haven't experienced it like he has, though.
No, not like Bronson.
Haven't experienced it like he has.
But here's the thing, too. If you're fishing with somebody, like from the back of the boat, I know that when that Phoenix is,
I throw it from the back of the boat.
Well, yeah, I do. But I know that when that Phoenix is pointing at a certain thing, and Ryan's on the trolling motor. Already in my mind, I know how fast that trolling motor is going. I know in my head, and I'm stubborn, and I'm like, I'm still going to throw it, but at the same time, I'm okay with letting him do what I know because there's always a chance of a 7-pounder blowing up on that horny toad. So when people ask me why, I've had people say, "Why don't you just make them slow down?" I'm like, "You don't understand.
No, you're in the back of the boat.
I'm in the back. Well, number one, yeah, it is Ryan's boat. That's the big thing.
That's true.
He's got the payment every month.
I mean, until
that's
you
exactly right.
come making payments on my boat, then
That's
you
right.
can tell me what I can and cannot do.
Yeah, but I also know that there's always on any given cast, whether it be a dock or in the back of a pocket, that something can just blow the hell out of
I've
that.
outfished the guy in the front of the boat by sitting in the back of the boat, just sitting in a chair throwing a drop shot.
Yeah, but I'm like, I want to see that blow up.
Yep.
And people ask me, I'm like, no, you just don't understand. It's something when he throws that thing into 6 inches of water that looks like there's no brim in it, and he cranks it 3 or 4 times, and all of a sudden, and it ain't always the biggest bass, but there's always that potential there. I want to see that just like everybody else. But you would go with a drop shot. That's if you could only do one thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite way to fish, but I know for a fact it will catch fish.
Now, one thing.
What's your favorite way to fish?
Yeah,
there's the question.
Okay, so
whatever they're biting on.
Whatever they're biting. one thing about
I like feeling a fish pull back. I don't discriminate.
Exactly, but I just from talking to you in the past, something a little different. If you tell the average guy drop shot, in their mind, you're sitting 30 foot out, you're drop shotting on brush, stuff like that. You like to cast the drop shot.
I will.
You
I
will
will
cast
literally
it.
Finesse Carolina rig, baby.
I will literally pitch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Like
you
there were guys like, I thought you were kidding when you said. I'm like, no, like I'm literally, a boat length, if that, off the bank.
And you'll pitch that drop shot.
I never come off the trolling motor.
Yep.
I'm
you power fish with the drop shot.
I power fish for the drop shot.
Is that something?
There's so many different. There's so many.
Ryan's like, oh no, he does.
I believe him 100%.
Me and him were going down the bank, and he picks up a drop shot, and I was like, okay. And I mean, I knew it was coming, but he's.
Yep.
And it's like that fast.
Yeah.
Do you think
he's basically flipping with one?
Yeah,
is basically what he's.
It's so good. I like to drag him to like a little Finesse Carolina rig too. Oh man, it's such a versatile, application.
So Ryan's describing basically you pitching. Do you think that a lot of guys, when they think drop shot like that, they get stuck in, I've got to be out on a brush pile in 35 foot of water? Why don't more guys do that then? I mean, you're basically saying that's, you have success with that.
I have had a lot of success doing that.
Right. Why don't more
people? I've had it when I say a lot of success, I'm not talking just Lanier. I'm talking
everywhere. Pretty
much every lake I have ever fished.
Why don't more guys do it?
You remember the back of the pocket? Me and you went in when we met up, and we only had like a couple hours before dark, and we went all the way in the back of that pocket in 2 Mile, and you pitched the drop shot while I skipped the wacky worm, and you beat me like 6-2. He was pitching the drop shot, but the funny thing was he wasn't like throwing, he wasn't getting first one. He was like, we were standing on the front deck of the boat, and he was going this way and I was looking this way, and he was pitching the drop shot and I was skipping the wacky.
Scratch fishing.
He was wearing my ass out.
Scratch has got a question right there. Scratch Fishing, thank you for joining us tonight. What is your favorite green worm drop shot?
Can I answer this one first?
Okay, so Nathan, what's your favorite green worm?
I fish the drop shot a lot too. I fish it a bunch of different ways. I do the Reaction Innovation 4 1/4 inch flirt worm. That thing is amazing. I love that on a drop shot.
That's a good one. What about you, Jeff?
As far as a green worm goes, I would say the swamp crawlers on a drop shot for a green drop shot worm.
Now, when you say swamp, is that
Zoom makes one? It's a real thin.
Is that kind of similar to the Trickster money crawler?
It is.
Yes, actually,
I do like his money crawler. I like that thinner profile worm like that.
Yeah, those are good. I've done really well on some largemouth lakes with that bait on a drop shot. On Lanier,
it's hard not to throw Lanier baits.
Well, the Lanier baits ones are good, and then the old. I'm stubborn. I keep going. I mean, I throw it.
Not you.
Yeah, I throw a robo worm too.
Robo worm's an excellent worm.
Have you thrown the new missile baits one?
No, I've heard they're pretty good though, but I haven't.
When I say I have
wall of robo worms hanging up in my house.
No, he literally has a wall.
So-
of
So when we get an order in and we ain't gotten it, we can call Jeff and say, "Hey, can you load us
I
a pack?"
thought about that.
Have you thought about that? Jeremiah says Softy makes an absolutely fantastic worm for that. I saw a question out there. Where was that?
It's a Jeff
Leader
question
length,
right there.
yeah,
Leader
scratch
length
fishing.
and weight.
And I'm gonna preface it by this: when I had LJ on, and everybody knows LJ for the drop shot, but he talked about when he casts, he's very good at it. There's not a lot of things he's great at, but he's great at that. Running that mouth and drop shot,
running that mouth and drop
shot. LJ's about as good as it comes. But he talked to me about when he casts. Let's say he's 20 feet off a bank. When he casts his drop shot, if he's in a casting mode, he takes his leader and makes it longer. And the reason he said that is so the fish stays kind of parallel the whole time as it's coming down an angled bank. Now, do you make that adjustment?
I roll with probably when I am pitching / flipping it and I'm fishing it shallow, I have probably an 8-inch leader.
Oh, so you're short.
Yep.
So you do the opposite of him.
Yeah,
you stay short and just stay.
Yeah, I go with probably about an 8-inch leader.
But see, he's not worried about really so much about
I'm
dangling it in the position to where the fish are off the bottom. He's looking for that worm goes in there and goes straight down to the bottom, and he's looking for the reaction.
I'll work it about 3 or 4 feet.
Noises and stuff. I love you when you do that.
3 or 4 feet, like I target.
You are
3 or 4 feet, reel it in. Next one, 3 or 4 feet, reel it in. Next one, 3 or 4
So
feet,
you don't
reel
work it all the way back.
Oh,
Couple
Okay.
hops, 3 hops.
It's like what I said when he gets the bite on it. He goes, and he's got it. That's how fast he is.
That's
It basically
interesting, though.
disappears, and then he's like,
do you think a lot of guys overfish it coming all the way back to the boat?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. They're just not going to cover near the amount of water I'm going to cover.
So you pitch, cast, or whatever to the bank, 3 or 4 hops. They're not there. Reel it in. Go down another 5 feet.
Yeah.
3 or 4 hops.
I mean, I may not even go down another 5 feet. It all depends on what type of. The more nicks, crannies, shade lines, and all that stuff is, the more cast I'll make in an area. When I hit a more open bank and I can only see like a dark spot or 2, and there's just not a whole lot there, then I'll maybe go a full 5 feet. But if there's say there's like leaf rock coming out, and there's a 6-inch gap of water, a leaf rock, and then another 6, then I'm going to go between these 2 rocks. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go between these 2 rocks. So those 2 casts may only be 18 inches apart.
Mm-hmm.
But you're consistent with 3 or 4 hops, didn't get a bite, going to the next.
Yep.
3 or 4 hops.
But when I get like on a sandy area, I may do it every 5 to 10 feet, depending on like how clear the water is. So
Okay, that's pretty
it's
interesting.
really going to depend on.
So go
through
is that more than a flipping kind of thing like he was talking about, or like
I literally reel it up. I grab the sinker in my left hand and to where I want to go.
You're not making long casts at all.
No, they're all underhanded.
Yeah.
Dude, we're like
I'm literally like using a pitch
we're
and a
like
flipping
20,
stick.
25 feet from the bank.
And so he pitches it up 3 or 4 hops out there, pitch it 3 or 4 hops.
So you might as well just go through it because the questions are being asked. Leader, pound test,
All right.
drop shot.
So what I
weight.
throw it on, I throw mine on. My whole setup is a 610 medium light St. Croix Legend Extreme with 12-pound test, Cast Fishing Company, that's CAST, braid with anywhere between a 6 and a 10-pound leader.
What style hook are you using?
And I use an owner downshot hook. It's a very thin wire with an offset deal, and it is a phenomenal. The hookup ratio on that hook is
crazy looking hook too.
Yeah, it's really kind of funky looking, but the hookup ratio on it is phenomenal, and you can catch some big fish on that little sucker. I've had one fish in 10 plus years straighten that hook.
What weight?
I will go with the lightest I possibly can.
Nice.
Generally a 3/16, but I will go to an 1/8 if I can get away with it, and I'll go up to a quarter or even a little bit heavier if there's current or if the wind's howling.
I like using LJ turned me on to this on a trip before. He using a size 1 or size 1 offset worm hook because I like to fish around a lot of heavier laydowns and stuff like that. So like that's been fun for me.
It's a 1/0. It's a 1/0 downshot owner downshot hook.
Nice. I'll have to try that out.
Yeah, Very, very thin wire profile. You don't have to like cross their eyeballs.
Owner makes great
They're good.
stuff. I love that flashy swimmer underspin that they make for when I need a Texas rig underspin. That is one of the best hooks on the market.
And then I put it on a 3000 series.
3000
Stratic.
Okay. Cool.
Stratic for the win.
Stratic for the win.
For sure. So we pretty much got that question answered because we had several people actually asking about that there. So,
yeah, I mean, if there's anything anybody has any questions about, then find me on the easiest way to find me is probably Facebook right now. The webpage is in work. There is an Instagram thing too, but send me a message and I will do my best to get it answered as quickly as humanly possible.
Jeff made a post about the Seville a few days ago, and then I got on there because I've been wanting to throw one, and I was like, well, what are you throwing this on? And he answered within like 10 minutes. So he's super responsive on there if you need to ask him any questions.
I've got a question.
Jerkbait.
What's your question?
Too.
So here's my question.
What's
Is
your question?
Was walking up to the little boys' room. I'm thinking, okay, so we asked the question. You said, if there was one thing I could do for the rest, if I only had one thing, drop shot. On the vice versa of that, or vice versa, as some of our local guys around here in Marble Hill say, what is the one thing that you absolutely cannot stand to throw? Like what is the opposite of the drop shot to you? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like it's like pulling teeth if you have to throw this.
Yeah, I will throw a spy bait if I have to, but I don't like get excited about a spy bait bite. It's not like I wait.
You're like, dang it!
Yes. No, if I got to pick up a spy bait, it's yeah.
You're desperate at that point.
I'm looking for.
I noticed you got a cast hat on.
Oh yeah.
You know they make a great balsa bait from Australia that has kind of taken the North Georgia area by kind of surprised at the way the spots hit. Do you throw the cast baits a good bit?
I do. The biggest I throw their Prodigy swim baits. I do throw,
and they do make a good swim bait like that.
Yeah.
Soft.
So the best thing about their swim bait is that I found is that they are extremely durable.
Yeah.
God, I know
they are.
That is the downfall of a Kitech.
Because you had one this past winter, you caught 20 something on it.
Something spots.
Yeah.
On one.
On one.
That
yeah.
3-inch cast
God,
would be good
you
on
can
an
never
rig.
listen. As much as I like,
And that was in one day. That was in one morning, wasn't it? Because you texted me and you were like number 20. It was like 27.
Yeah,
you're like number 27 on the same head and the same bait.
Yeah, it was.
All I've done is retie.
I would, I'm probably a little, just the way I am, but I think the best product that Cast makes though is their braided line.
Oh, I don't have any.
There have been 5 or 6 people that I have fished with over the last couple months, and every time they fish with me, they're like, "Okay, where do I order this stuff from?"
I'm not surprised by that because,
with saltwater background,
they're mainly targeting the giant trevally down there in Australia. Like those are serious fish.
Like I can be in the back of a boat, and a guy can have whatever. Pick his favorite braid, and I can be in the back of the boat and I have the same rod and the same shaky head, and we cast in the same direction, and I'm going to outcast the guy in the front of the boat.
So it casts very good. I don't have a lot of experience.
So I was running the Sunline. Me and him went out one day, and I was running the Sunline, that PEX8, and we stood on the front deck of his boat side by side, and we threw at a reef pole.
Mm-hmm.
And he overthrew me by a solid 20 feet.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
It is literally okay. I put it on. I got some from Ryan at the Bassmaster Classic, and I finally braid's expensive, so I was like, and I finally he's getting ready to get in. There's an order on way. It's
good
that he's getting in pretty soon. I think he sold out of the 12. He may have some 20 left. But anyway, when I first put it on, I put it on my shaky head rod.
Mm-hmm.
This was back in the springtime. My shaky head was big, and I had gotten it down. Boy, I was in the shaky head right next to the pole, and it was. I was like, I got it, and I could go and I could hit my targets on the docks and roll. I put that stuff on. Ting! I'm like, what the hell am I doing on the roof? Or it would be like over the walkway, or like I'm like,
why do you think that is? I mean, what is it about it?
It's extremely slick. It's Teflon coated.
Ah, okay.
So it does not absorb water.
Right.
and it's got a very small diameter for its pound test. Now, that being said,
Do you know how many braids it is? Because I'm learning all that.
12, I believe.
12 braids.
That's why
Okay.
it's called X12, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was the name of it. So it's X12.
Yep.
Okay.
So I have the 20-pound test on my fluke rod, and I have the 12-pound test on every other spinning reel I own.
Nice.
That's good. Hey, listen, that's a good, compliment to them.
And it's in what, 300 yard?
It is
It's
300
300
Yeah,
yard
so don't
spools.
panic when you see.
Oh yeah, because I saw the
You'll be
price.
able to
I'm
feel. You'll be able to.
No,
You're talking about the price. Don't
it's
panic on the
cheaper.
price.
It's cheaper than the Seaguar is.
Mhm.
So it's like 45. I think it's $45 for 300 meters, not yards. So
Meters,
330 yards.
A
A little more
So a
like
little bit
that.
more.
Jeremiah
Premium,
Giles
please.
wants to. He
Yeah,
wants
you
you
can
to
get 3 reels with it.
Do you throw jerk baits a lot?
I'll throw them into spring, and
Okay,
then
he wants to know about the best jerk bait patterns on Lanier.
We'll get onto that.
yeah, I mean that's a springtime thing. I would say the best time to throw that.
Okay.
I love
Yeah.
it in the fall,
It,
in the
it,
winter.
can, it can be good in the fall and the winter also when the fish are up in the water column suspended.
Wind blown point in the fall coming up here. Wind blown secondary points.
Same things you're going to fish them in the spring.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
reverse. But that a jerk bait is really hard to beat in the winter, fall winter here on Lanier on a nasty day. When you've got a 15-mile-an-hour wind.
The hardest part's throwing it.
Yeah, the hardest part's throwing it, but I'm gonna tell you, they'll jerk the damn rod out of your hand.
Wow. Why is that? Wait, no, let me rephrase it. On the nasty days, what is it about the nasty days that makes jerk bait bite?
It seems like on the nastiest days, Jeff answer this too probably. It seems like on the nasty days, minus the east wind, anything but an east wind, but it seems like on the nasty cold days, the spots seem to be like looking up, like pretty hardcore.
Yeah,
they're like
It's the
looking.
way that
they're
fish position
feeding. I mean,
themselves.
it's those cold nasty days like that generally are
like
low
that-
pressure system. Low pressure generally drives
Yeah.
fish to feed. It drives all animals to feed. I mean,
Mhm.
it's nature. It's the way it is. So
This is an interesting question from Scratch Fishing. Do you use the FG knot with that braid? Because he uses Super Slick 8 with the FG knot and it will not cinch. What kind of knot do you use?
I use the good old Alberto knot.
Good man.
Good man.
Mhm.
Good knot.
Now, what I will do is with that cast braid is you need to get a leader that is somewhat close to the diameter of the braid.
Mhm.
What you can't do is go with you can do it. It's just not as good. You can't go with like the 12-pound braid and then try to tie a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader.
It won't
It's
work.
not going to work.
You've pretty much figured it out because me and you talked about this. It's basically for 12 braid, it's 8 fluoro, and then with that 20, you're basically throwing like 12.
Yeah, or 14. So
yeah,
you want to try
because
to
the
get
diameters are very similar.
yes.
This is a question for Ryan and Michael Temples. This is not a stupid question, but it's actually a very good question. Ryan, what qualifies as a secondary point?
Oh man, as you go into the back of a creek, then you've got another. As you look out there, that's like, oh, there's a point that comes in.
So not
here
the main point going into the creek.
Well, those are
Anything
your
about-
main mouth
Yeah.
creek. Those are your main mouth points and stuff like that. A secondary point is you go back and there's a little cut, and you see a little cut that goes into the back of the creek, and you see a little point. Your contour lines on your mapping will dictate, because some secondary points on a lot of the highland reservoirs, because the creeks are deeper, you can only really find them with your contour lines, because you'll look back there and you'll say, oh, well, that actually is
Essentially, it is a point which does not protrude out into the main channel.
Yes.
As far as
I got you.
the
So
point to its left and its right.
So-
he's got a better explanation.
That's
why he's smart.
no, but that's the orienteering in him and all that. But both of
So you know the point that I took you and No Name Creek.
Mm-hmm. That's a secondary.
That's a
So-
definition of a secondary one.
So basically, in a simple nutshell, if you're on the main lake, here's a creek. The 2 points going into that creek are basically your main.
Yeah.
And
Total-
as you get into
It
the
never
creek,
loads
everything
up.
at that point's a secondary.
Well,
Kind of, sort of.
yes.
In a simple way.
In a simple way.
In a simple way.
So if there's yes, in a simple way.
Can you
Essentially, it's a smaller one that doesn't stick out as far as the ones to the left and right
Okay, no, but that's not a dumb question, Michael, because
No, it's not a dumb question at all.
not at all, because a lot of guys.
I mean, there's not
you
a
know,
textbook definition, but generally speaking, it's
a smaller point
in the
creek.
in the fall and in the spring. That's secondary points. Is I mean, Jeff's talked about that. That's like my okay, that's what I'm looking for to start.
They're big in the ditch during ditch season too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Why is
Yeah,
that?
especially if you have one. Yeah, especially
You
if you
have a
one.
long straight ditch.
Mhm.
Let's say it's like this table. And
Mhm.
it's generally straight,
Straight like the table.
or you can even turn, but it's essentially featureless.
Right.
But there's just little thing that comes out like this.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to even really go a long way. Just something that's a change in
Change
the flat.
to the
90% of the time, like what he was talking about,
No.
90% of the time, that's where the fish are going
I
to
think
be.
what-
it's going to hold
What you
fish.
told me
yeah.
when
That's
we
very
were
good.
talking after the seminar you did at the expo about mapping and features and stuff, looking for that winter bite, looking for ditches. You're looking for V's, like you see a long straight ditch like that or channel. You're looking for V's coming off into the shore because the fish are going to hold on those V shapes. That's the money was what you're looking for.
So Ryan always talks about fish want to relate to something.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying in a nutshell is when you've got something that's basically featureless, that one little change in that, the fish will relate to that,
They will.
especially in the wintertime on a ditch
Yeah.
bite, stuff like that.
that's even a good thought for fishing lily pad lines. If you're fishing like
Grass
they
lines.
have
grass
all the
lines,
grass
same
lines,
way.
all the lily pads. You have such a huge feature. You look for the different thing in that. You look for the isolated clump off of it. You look for the little open spot in it. You look for the timber sticking out of it. You look for the different feature in
My-
the main feature.
My PB.
Yeah.
I know you've heard.
Yeah.
I know you heard me talk about it, and I know everyone else that's watching.
Well, let's talk about
my
it.
What's
my PB on Seminole. That was a clump of grass. It was straight like this. It was going, ooh, and there was a clump of grass that come out that went like this. It was sticking out about 2 feet. I threw that spinnerbait up there across the front of that thing, and it came out from that one point. We had been throwing spinnerbait all the way down through there, and that one bite came right there, and that was where that was.
It's like what I tell people that fish the timber fields at Latham. Don't think because there's all this timber in here, there's fish in here. You go
Yeah.
look for the X's. You go look for the fallen timber that form
Mhm.
X's in the standing timber. There's probably fish there.
So, again, Ryan just introduced me to the ditch bite last year. I come from more the electric world, and I found it fascinating and watching it, and everything he said makes sense. If you're on a ditch, we would throw down the middle of the ditch, but let's say now you find a little secondary point. How do you approach that? And, what's the changes in your casting and stuff like that?
I will generally. That's when I will put the underspin or the swim bait or.
So you won't be like our ditch digger that's on the bottom coming up right up the middle for those
No,
fish.
a lot of times I'll pick a shaky head up and throw on that or a jig.
So you'll change the bait that you're throwing.
A lot of times.
A lot of
Not
times.
always, but a lot of times.
Okay. And why do the fish relate to that? Just because it's something
I
different.
mean, it's up on the hill. It's just it's yes. It's
How does that affect
different.
bait fish in the area?
It is a channel, so it'll force them down. It also provides them cover too.
Okay.
Here's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Look at it as
This is great.
how the
I know.
Confederates used
Oh, Lord.
Lookout Mountain. No, I'm serious.
You're absolutely
No,
right.
I'm
Yeah.
serious. No,
Okay.
I'm being dead serious. Look at it as how Lookout Mountain was used during
It
the
was
Civil
a
War.
strategic.
It's a strategic place where the bass basically use it as a place to look out. Here comes the bait. Hey guys, and they go ambush them.
Because the bait's going up and down the
Yeah.
ditch.
So let's say you go into it, and again, I'm learning as you guys are talking like that. So let's say you're going down a flat. Nathan is a secondary point. Ryan is a dock. What makes that secondary point more attractive than the dock or something like that?
In the wintertime?
Yeah. Is it the depth of the water? The fish are
Yeah,
down?
I mean, it's probably going to be the depth of the water, but I'm not going to pass.
I'm not going to ignore dock in the winter.
I mean,
You won't,
it all
but-
depends.
but-
If it's a deep water dock, I mean, it can still hold fish too.
Now, do you approach that secondary point, and I'm going to say upstream, which is probably not the right way to say it, but from the main body side first, or do you go past it and come
It depends
back?
on how I'm fishing the ditch. So when I fish secondary points in the wintertime,
Uh-huh.
it's secondary to the ditch fishing, so to speak.
Mhm.
So you're concentrating on the middle of the
I'm
ditch.
fishing the ditches, and then I see something. I'm like, oh, that deserves something else, and I'll throw up there a couple times. But if I do throw up with whatever I'm ditch fishing with, I will, and I don't get bit, then there's definitely going to be a shaky head or a jig on it.
So here's a question for Ryan while we're talking.
I will not do it without.
Yeah.
While we're talking winter fishing.
I got another one for you on that.
Shallow water in the winter. Yes, no. What are you targeting in the winter for shallow water fishermen?
Oh yeah, they're there.
No, Ryan will tell you that because I've heard him say this. There are fish that live shallow year round, no matter what.
Yeah. So what are you
I've
fishing?
heard that enough from him to know
shallow in the winter on Lanier.
What am I fishing?
What's up, Stephen?
I'm going all the way to the backs of the creeks and stuff, and I'm going as shallow as I can, and I'm throwing either a underspin, a ditch digger, or a jerkbait or a crankbait of some sort. And then kind of the same way that Jeff does, except I have a jig in my hand. If I find something exactly like what he said, if there's something like I can't ignore it, I will fish it because it's like obvious that you've got to throw at it. Mm-hmm. The one blowdown that's in the water, what the sun has been beating on it for the past 4 hours.
The one dock that has spud poles.
Yes. Stuff like that.
The brush field in the back of Toto Creek.
Couple of a real quick question.
Yeah, back of Toto Creek is
right
in the winter.
Here's a real quick question. What did it take to win the ABA on Alatina?
I don't know. We'll find out this Saturday.
So it's this Saturday. It hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Okay, Saturday. So it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And then Bruce has got another question. Ryan hit on something, spinnerbait. I catch them on calm days, but I've always heard only windy days, like the swim baits too, the same way. What gives? Because
go back and watch my one-on-one with Danny, and I explain
that's right. You
it
get
all
it on
about
YouTube.
it.
You can get it on YouTube right there, or iTunes and Spotify. It's on that too as well. But just for right now, what gives on that? Why is and you've even in teaching me, and I try to be a student, even though I'm like your dad. I'm old enough to be your dad. I hear wind, better, calm, not so good. Why is that just on the basics of a spinnerbait? In
the springtime, it's like wind helps in the spring, but in the springtime you can throw a spinnerbait regardless if there's wind. And I base it upon water clarity, and I base it upon structure that the fish are actually relating to. And this is specifically largemouth. This isn't spots.
That's right. Yeah, you're largemouth. Yeah.
As far as the spots go, because that's generically what you're going to be more fishing, or you're going to be more catching more. I've found that some days when the wind is just howling, they will not touch a freaking spinnerbait. But then there are some days where the wind is howling and you can't even throw the thing on the dang bank, and you can't even get your rod reel cocked, and one's already toted it off.
Fish are like women. They're unpredictable.
It's really unpredictable. But in terms of calm, the best time to throw one is calm. When you don't have much wind, you need to have some stain water. Okay. Just something, you got to have something to give that visual representation.
Or low light.
Or low light conditions, yeah.
So Ryan had talked earlier today about doing
because that mini me bite's the mini me bite should start picking up. That Lanier is notorious for coming up in October through December.
Caught my PB spot in the spinnerbait.
Yeah.
So
and that was just this.
Yeah, that was 5.5 pounds, wasn't it?
5.5 pound spot is nothing.
21 inches long, 15-inch girth.
That's a stud. I mean, that's
big
a
old
stud.
fish.
So Ryan had talked about doing this when we were talking about this show earlier today, and I'm going to do it kind of off the top of my head, and all three of you get to participate in this kind of either or kind of thing. So he brought up the spinnerbait, and I'm going to start with Jeff, and we'll go Jeff, Nathan, and then Ryan. You pick which one you prefer and why. We'll start off with spinnerbait versus chatterbait.
Chatterbait.
And why?
I have more confidence in it, generally speaking, than I do a spinnerbait.
Okay. Nathan?
Spinnerbait, I personally find it to be more versatile, especially where I like to fish and the type of structure I like to fish. I think spinnerbait comes through it a lot better.
I know this answer for Ryan, but go ahead.
Spinnerbait.
And why?
I just catch bigger fish on spinnerbait.
Okay. All right. I think I know the answer to this. Drop shot versus shaky head.
Probably a drop shot.
And why?
Versatility. I mean, I can fish it in horizontal. I can fish it vertical. I can cast it.
I love the fact that you pitch it. I did not expect that answer today. And hearing you talk about that, I know, seriously,
I have a field day with that thing.
I honestly, and I'll get to you, Nathan, here in a second, but I did not expect when I was kind of envisioning the show. You know, I knew you fished a drop shot a lot, but
let me say this real
the
fast.
pitching thing that gets me.
Let me say this real fast about him. If you book a trip with Jeff and you fish a day with Jeff, and me and Jeff, I fished out of his boat, fished out of my boat several times. Jeff, if you want to kind of and you're interested in booking a trip with him, if you want to get to be with a more well-rounded as possible angler who thinks outside the box, he's your guy.
To me, that's outside the box. That's what I'm saying. I did not expect the pitching aspect. That's never once crossed my mind.
Because see, when I've been with Jeff,
awesome.
the multiple times me and Jeff have fished together, him picking up something, whether I'm in the back or in the front, it's never really been like I'm not shocked that he would think to pick this up.
Versatility and flexibility are two of the most important things that an angler need to be, and I think Jeff embodies that. So like John Allred just wrote that blog for us on our Fishing with Georgia blog. Shameless plug, check it out.
Yeah, absolutely, guys, check it out.
Being able to be flexible and adjust to patterns and adjust to what the fish are telling you that they want, but also being creative in how to use a lure is super important. And Jeff is great at it. And so that's one of the number one reasons to book a trip with him, because that's what you're going to learn.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I knew from our conversations in the past that you casted drop shots.
Jeff
we didn't talk about the flipping aspect.
And if
I don't know if you wanted to talk about that, but I did not.
If you are a tournament angler as well, and you fish club tournament level stuff, or even higher than that, but if you're just wanting to figure out how to lessen your dead time during a tournament, Jeff's got some good ideas, and he can show you some things for when it's the periods throughout the day where it's tough on how to, try this, do this, look for this. Here's an idea. Let's do this, and he's not afraid to go do it.
That's awesome. Nathan, right back to you. Drop shot or shaky head?
You know the answer to this. Shaky head, specifically the Sugar Hill 3/16 4/0 shaky head with a trickster tricky worm green pumpkin. That is it.
Okay, there you go. Shaky head. Ryan.
Shaky head.
Okay, shaky head.
Just because I don't throw a drop shot.
You don't. If Ryan's throwing a drop shot, he's done gone through everything like that.
What about Sweet Rosie?
Sweet Rosie's a pretty good color. I've caught fish.
I think the last time me and Jeff fished together, I looked down on the graph and there was like a wad of them, and I just basically hit spot lock on my trolling motor and said, "Hey, get up here!" And he presumed to catch like 3 in a row, and I was like, "All right, you done? Let's go."
You done? Byron Hendricks. I caught a lot of shoal bass pitching a drop shot. So again, that's something that, man, we've been doing this in podcasts for quite a while. And
stop giving away the juice, Byron.
Honestly, that's kind of interesting to me, the pitching of a drop shot. I'm going to have to try it.
You're going to try it?
Hell yeah, I'm going to try it. What kind of question is that? I might not do it right, but I'm going to try it.
You just go with him and he can show you.
Well, I will do that. I will do. You going to pay for that trip?
Sure.
Okay, there you go. All right, Jeff, deep cranking versus shallow cranking.
Shallow.
And why?
I mean, deep cranking is fun, but you can cover a lot more water with the when I say shallow, I'm talking 10 feet or less. I'm not necessarily talking just a square bill.
Okay. All right. Excellent. You
shallow, just specifically because I fish in a kayak, and deep crankbaits move kayaks too much.
That makes sense.
And it's just a real pain in the butt. It's all about the shallow crankbait.
Okay, Ryan.
Shallow cranking.
All right, Jeff. Buzz bait versus prop bait.
Prop bait.
This was I throw this one in there.
That's you.
Ryan did throw this in there earlier. I mean, listen, I can't give away all my secrets, but we had this conversation earlier. Why?
I started throwing a prop bait before, and I just got a lot of confidence. I don't think a lot of people throw it.
Right.
There's not a lot of them made. I mean, good luck trying to find a balsa prop bait.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, when I say I'm not talking about a devil's horse. I mean, like a brim-sized prop bait.
Like a Brian's prop bait.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to spend $20-$30 for one. But there's
two I love.
Those
by the same company.
The strikes on those things, they can be pretty
intense.
Yeah.
Is that intense? Is that the best way to say it, Nathan?
I will also go prop bait, and I really like the TAT by Greenfish Tackle. That's my favorite one. Okay. The totally awesome topwater.
All right. There you go, Ryan.
Buzz baiter.
Well, I knew that answer already. I want to read this. to you again from Bruce and Tammy Arnold. Can you pull that comment up right there for me? In closing for us here tonight in Athens, first of all, thank you very much for joining us tonight in Athens. Share this around. We'd like to get more people from out that way. Jeff, thank you for your service, your sacrifice with others gives us our privilege to do the things like fish and hunt, and we appreciate it. And again, that's kind of echoing on the sentiments that I said earlier. We get to do a lot of things because guys like you got the balls to do what you do. So that's a damn good comment right there, like that. We're about to the time of closing this show. Jeff, one more time, I want you to be able just tell everybody again. When I say, listen, sometimes guests come on and we have to talk them up a little bit. You're one of the few that when we talk, I think that, it's especially Ryan with the compliments and Nathan again from what we're saying about you and your abilities and all that. I don't think we're having to stretch it. I think that it's very simple.
One of the reasons why I fished with Jeff multiple times is get to know him and we're friends. We talk, we talk pretty regularly, most every day.
You do. You talk a lot.
One of us texts the other.
Got a bromance going.
I guess you can say.
But when you say something, I'm like, well, Ryan's just blowing. It's genuine. You got a very good reputation in the fishing community for what you do, and I think that speaks highly of you. There's a lot of fakes out there.
Well, I mean, I don't really know how to respond. I guess the thing is we're chasing a cold-blooded, salt brain sized fish,
right?
So sometimes we can overthink it. Some days you're gonna have good days, some days you're gonna have bad days, and I'll admit I had the days where I sit there and I scratch my head and I'm like, what?
But you admit it,
but
though,
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna sit here and tell you, you know what? We swung and missed today.
Yeah, and that's why I think
nobody's I mean, everybody has bad days. I mean, I was talking to somebody earlier today. I mean, you can go. I talk about the pros don't have a bad day. Yeah, go pull up an MLF page and go look at who's sitting at after. Someday, one guy may have 130 pounds, and then you look at the last place guy and he's got 6.
And there's a lot more of the 6s than there are the 130.
Or an elite series event where some of the guys who are like, oh my God, they're going to do so good. And then at the end of the first day, they're in 95th.
Yeah. I mean, Gerald Swindle, I think, has probably one of the best monologues as far as that goes that he did on Gunnersville one day. It is absolutely, truly, it explains what it is. I mean, it's Lanier too. And he's like, I'd love to sit here and tell you that the wind's going to blow out of the east and the full moon's going to have this, doing that, and he goes off. He goes, but I'd be lying. I don't have a clue what the hell they're going to do. I'm just going to go out tomorrow and fish. I mean, and they're spotted bass. They're here today. They're gone tomorrow. They're back over here the next day. Today they want to walk and bait. Tomorrow they want to chug and bait. The next day they want,
But the honesty of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an exact science.
No, it's not. But it's really cool. Again, I value Ryan's opinion on a lot of things. And when he speaks highly of people, I listen. When he speaks, not that he speaks lowly of people, but he has higher opinions of others, some than others. And you are on that higher opinion thing. And so I respect his opinion because he's a good angler, but he also knows how people should do it. We've talked a lot tonight about booking a trip with you. So I want to give you one more opportunity for somebody that's watching tonight or listening at a later date, how they can get in touch with you. And is it just Lanier that you guide on?
For right now, yeah. I mean, I've got some friends of mine on a call and say, hey, let's go fish Lake X. How would you do it? And then I may go. But I focus on Lanier. I fish Lanier probably 6 days a week is what I average, with or without a trip.
Yeah, you fish even if you ain't got nothing.
I mean, I'm out every day. I mean, I've put a lot of hours on my boat in the last year. I've probably spent, and I'm not exaggerating, I probably have 100 hours just graphing in the last year.
Very important.
So I'm definitely out, and that's the advantage is I fish 6 days a week.
Yeah, you know what to do.
So, I have whether or not they bite or not, I don't know, but I can guarantee you we will be in and around the fish doing the right thing. Whether or not we can get them to bite that particular day, that's another story. But we'll be in the right areas doing the right thing.
Yeah. So how can somebody get in touch with you?
My phone number is 770-715-9933. And then Facebook would be Jeff Nell Fishing and Guide Service. And you can find that. You should be able to search and find it, or you can go through Fish North Georgia and find it.
Absolutely.
Or myself,
Yeah.
Jeff Nail. My profile picture on my personal page is Kermit the Frog. So
you can't miss it.
oh yeah, you know I'm a
Loves
big fan
Rainbow
of Kermit.
Connection.
Yeah,
Loves Rainbow Connection.
and again, guys, if you were to forget that number and you want to get in touch with him, you can contact us here at Fish North Georgia, and we'll definitely put you in the right path like that. But I want to read one more comment before I close for the night from LJ, who is he's a very well respected guide on Lanier. Jeff's a good dude and honest on his reports. Something I try to do sometimes, and LJ's got the suckometer. You know, that's his own thing. Sometimes the suckometer is real.
Oh, it
and,
is.
and it's like that. So again, I want to definitely, like I said, we recommend certain guides when customers come in here, and Jeff's probably about as high on the list as anybody we can recommend, and his name gets brought up a lot here. Don't you think? You recommend,
for the people who come into the store and say, "I want to learn how to fish Lanier better."
Mm-hmm.
Jeff's the guy.
Yeah, so absolutely. So
Jeff's the guy for if you want to learn how to fish it better. If you want to learn how to catch a ton of fish, 100% for sure, go with LJ.
Right. So
that's what he likes to do is catch a bunch of fish.
Catch a bunch of fish like that. So first of all, again, one more opportunity to thank you for your service to our country so that we can do what we love doing in our everyday life. I think too many people, it kind of pisses me off. Too many people take it for granted that we get to do what we want to do and don't realize the people behind the scenes that sacrifice and get to do that. So I want to thank you again. I don't want you to leave here without knowing how much that really means to us. And but thank you for coming here tonight. I think this episode had a lot of knowledge dropped. Absolutely. We do a lot of episodes, but you're always, even though you didn't give us that one, you held back on that one. He held back on that one, but that's okay.
I can't give every single thing.
I want to know, man.
This is what
I
will say.
gave something away, so
there is, he asked, like, how can you expect a trip? This is what I can tell you is a trip.
Is
you can book I will do a 4 or 6 or an 8 hour plus trip. You want morning or afternoon. Generally speaking, I got flexibility as far as that goes. But while you're in the boat with me, and there are individuals, who have spent time in the boat with me, is I'm going to give you as much information as you want to suck in between your ears.
Then that's key.
That I know, and
that's what the money's for.
That's exact. And I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, well, I'm not going to tell you." If you want to ride around and go, I'm going to dump as much information while you're in the boat. Ask whatever, and I'm going to tell you the honest answer while you're in the boat.
Honest answer. That's a good way.
Do you do graphing trips too, or just fishing trips?
So I've been tooling around the idea of doing, because a lot of people have asked me about the map reading thing and how I do that, and I do have an absurd amount of time reading topographical maps.
Yes, you do.
I think I will do trips where I will go on someone else's boat, and we'll call them like brush pile hunting trips. Mm-hmm. You pick I'm not going to say where we're going. You pick what creek you want to go, where you want to go, and then we'll take your boat and we'll go find.
That's a good service.
We'll go find what we'll go. This is how I set up my graphs to go find brush piles.
Yeah.
This is the technique that I've used to find what I have found over the last, because when I got my new boat last year, I had 0 waypoints on them, and everyone that's on there now is ones that I've personally marked.
Right.
So,
I think that's
I think I'm going to do that as well.
That's awesome. That's a great service. And again, like, guys, we're not blowing smoke up his ass just because he's on here tonight. Very rarely do we get a guy on here that we kind of respect. No, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. That didn't come out. Wow. Very rarely do we get a guy on here that we respect as much as Jeff. And I know Ryan does. That's the better way to put it. So again, Jeff, thank you. You guys listen. If you got a chance to get on there and book a trip with Jeff, I think it's well worth. It's an investment. It's being educated, and that's you got all these people spending all this money going to college on something that's on a worthless degree.
Don't make fun of my art degree.
Your art degree, but this money will be well invested. Plus, you're a pretty cool guy, so we enjoy every time you come around here. So I want to thank you for coming on tonight. Again, Nathan, Ryan, for supporting me with your questions and all that. For you guys that are watching right there, the Fishing with Farmer out. Farmer, I respect you too. But you guys that are in the comment section with your great questions, you wanting to learn, we appreciate you guys. Paul for running the board like a champ tonight.
Nathan making those beautiful
beautiful. Everything about this that we do gets better and better, I think, and I just absolutely love it. It takes the. I'm not a Hillary fan, but it takes a community on some of this, and so we've got an outstanding community here at Fish North Georgia. So I appreciate all of you guys. Takes a village.
Takes
A
village.
village right there. So again,
Or a really big stick.
or a really big stick. Yeah, and I don't want to be the stick swinger like that. But listen, seriously, guys, thank you so much for spending your time with us, whether you're watching it tonight live or at a later date or listening to it on iTunes or Spotify, stuff like that. So we appreciate all of you guys, and we encourage you every Thursday night to join us. And as we get the next guest on here, to ask the questions, because I sat here tonight and I was learning, even though while I'm interviewing somebody, I'm trying to take in the information that they give. And I know that the next time I get on a lake, I'm going to pitch a drop shot that I probably wouldn't do it. I might not do it as good, and I might have to go out with Jeff to learn. But you can take a lot of this information and put it into practice. Again, we want to thank our sponsors, Rachel Collins with 400homes.com. Again, I want to give a shout out to Mason Waters with Waters HVAC and Buford Dam Bait and Tackle. And all you guys that support us and all this, it means more to us than you really know. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you on the next episode of the Livewell here at Fish North Georgia. You guys have a blessed weekend and stay safe.
Adios.